If you've ever enjoyed a chocolate bunny or a Cadbury cream egg, or two, over the Easter holiday, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back. We're back for another week here on Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. It is Monday, April 21st. The Pope has passed away. The markets are trading lower, and we're here to break down the news from over the holiday weekend. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook for April 21st, Monday, April 21st, starts right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. I hope that you all had a wonderful holiday weekend with whatever you did. Hopefully you saw family, friends, relaxed, enjoyed some sports, had some good food, played golf, whatever it was. Hope that you had a great weekend. It's great to see a whole bunch of you returning here today on Monday. Pete, good morning. Great to see you locked in, ready to go. Yeah, absolutely love that. Yassine, good morning, everybody. Had a great Easter weekend. Yassine, awesome. That is great to hear. Ready to make some moves. Thoughts about Tesla earnings, UNH bounce, or Google earnings? Yassine, I absolutely love the energy. Not even waiting, just ready to go. Ready to go, ready to look at things, and ready to go. I've added all three of those stocks to the list. We're going to take a look at them, particularly Tesla, which is down here in the pre-market on some news. So we will cover all of them. We will cover the earnings schedule. There is a lot this week, Yassine. Brett, good morning. Welcome back. Nabil, good morning. Welcome back. Neville, excuse me, Nabil. Beg your pardon. Neville, welcome back. Good morning. Happy Monday. It's great to see you. Chuck, good morning. We're back. We are back. Big B's, good morning. It's great to see you here today. We did have a good weekend. Hellcat, welcome back. As always, Glass Half Full, welcome back. Bernhard, welcome back. Peter, it's great to see you again, as always. Day Trader, good morning. Locked in. Brett saying the weekend was great. You even got some heavy snow in the Rockies. Okay, so here we go. Snowing in April out in Colorado. I guess that's par for the course. Great to have you back, though. Topher, good morning. Dubai chocolate. How is Dubai chocolate? Never had that. Good morning. Welcome back. Sun-Kissed Yogi, good morning. Bobby, good morning. Dermulg, good morning. Ed, good morning. Buffalo by Bicycle, good morning. MD, Tyler, Erie, good morning. Good morning, Sebastian. It looks like a Faloona Monday to me. I'll take it, I suppose. Great to see a whole bunch of you returning here. JJ, good morning. Let's go ahead and break this market down like a fraction. We're going to start. Did I just say SPART? We're going to start here with the SPY chart. Now, looking at this, we're currently just looking around here. S&P futures down 1.27%, Dow futures down 1.09%, and the NASDAQ futures down 1.53%. So red across the board here in the morning. SPY holding right at 520. I actually have 519.90 as the print now. That's important because we're set to open up below the 10% pullback level. We have that marked off here, 521.25. We're actually set to open beneath that. We'll see if we do have any strength here, if we firm up at all, or if we bounce at all here today. You know, we had said last week, we had concluded last week by saying, I'm not too sure how much risk people are going to put on before a 3-day weekend. We didn't get any news or any positive news about any deals being finalized yet, although it does sound like some are imminent here. And as a result, we're seeing the market weaker here. Now, I did carry a SPY short position that expires this week. Very, very short-term options, basically taking a page out of the Matt Maley playbook and trying to play the near dated options on a week-to-week basis. I did carry some of those over, so that should buoy some of the red arrows here, but red arrows here in the pre-market. It does look to me like the next leg down here, if we do start that here today, the next move down should be to this 511 level. We've got 510.92 as your 500-day moving average, but I expect that to be tested here today. If we continue to move down, another 10 points from here would actually make for a pretty decent down day. We'll see if we do end up getting that here, but this is going to be one of those levels that I'd look for. Conversely, to the upside, if we close above 521.25, that would be pretty good too, right? If we can consolidate around this level, really what we're looking for to turn around to be a little bit more bullish here is going to be a recapture of this 20-day. Furthermore, not only would we like to recapture the level, but we'd really like to start to level out this moving average. We'll see if we have the strength to do that. My gut feeling tells me that before we're like really done with this, we have another test of that 490 area. We might even overshoot that and print the 480 area again. I don't know. I don't necessarily have a time frame for that, but that's going to be one of the things that I'm looking for. All right. Good morning, Austin. Good morning, Fahad. Great to see you again. AIRO, Tyler, I've never even pulled that stock up, I don't think. Let me add it to the list and see if there's anything I can come up with, but I don't have any thoughts on that. Good morning, Harley. Great to see you here. All right. Let's take a look at some of the news here. Then we'll go through some individual stocks. I know Netflix had earnings on Thursday after hours. Netflix here actually trading lower in the pre-market, although still higher from the close on Thursday. We'll take a look at that. We'll also take a look at the news that's weighing Tesla down here this morning, kind of come up with a plan for trading some of those. Let's take a quick look here at what's going on. Oh, you know what? Before I did this news story, let's take a quick look at the Benzinga Pro morning report. We don't have a huge amount of data points here today. As mentioned, the futures are red already. And then the other thing is that these company events, they really don't start kicking up until that second week of May, it looks like. The one to pay attention to here is probably that annual Needham Technology Conference. We've got Sezzle presenting at that and the B. Riley Conference. We've seen Sezzle be a huge mover for us before. I'm not anticipating anything particular coming out of this conference, but I think that could be one of those stocks that's really affected by whatever goes on here. And as a result, it might produce a trade for us. Also worth noting here that BTDR is on here for a number of different company events as well. So that's not coming for another couple of weeks, but just to kind of put it on your radar. The only other thing here, I didn't see any IPOs here today. The only other thing is obviously we had two upgrades here on Netflix. We had Morgan Stanley going to overweight, and we had Canaccord initiating a buy. These are actually initiations, excuse me. We also did have a bunch of price target adjustments post earnings. We're going to cover all of that here in a little bit, but otherwise nothing terribly notable from this. I will say that Amazon did get a downgrade here to Raymond James. Now, really quickly, did want to shout out Amazon. We did get a piece of news over the weekend. Bill Ackman teases the prospect of Uber and Hertz partnering. Nothing's official yet, but this is important because if you recall, one of our chat members, Izzy, whilst on vacation, gave us that last week. We're starting to hear about some of that here again this week, so we'll see if that picks up steam at all. But really good call by our chat member, Izzy here. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about, let's just kind of get you set for what's going on here. Good morning, Crimp Biscuit. Good morning, Russ. Great to see you, Wiss, and Jane. Good morning. We got the whole crew back here today. That is awesome. And we are going to have Matt Maley coming up here right after the open, as usual. Okay, anyway, let me get back to the stories here. U.S. stocks likely to open lower. Best and worst days tend to occur near the same time. What on earth does that mean? We talked a little bit about the market here already. Some of the news that's happened over the weekend here, I just want to recap for you. Chinese Ministry of Commerce warned its trading partners of retaliation in case of Beijing's isolation by the U.S. Quote, it should be pointed out in particular that China firmly opposes any party reaching a deal at the expense of Chinese interests, end quote. That was the ministry spokesperson, according to a translated version of the statement. We'll see how this all shakes out for them. If trading partners try to isolate Beijing, quote, China will never accept it and will resolutely take countermeasures in a reciprocal manner, end quote. So looks like the war of words, if you will, going back and forth here. We'll see how that all shakes out. My opinion hasn't changed on any of this from the last time that we talked about it. Really quickly here, Dow Jones marked its third consecutive day of losses. All major indices finished in the shortened week in the red, pressured by steep declines in technology and healthcare. Of course, we had UNH reporting earnings. They got absolutely smoked last week. Looks like the hangover from that is still going on. The downturn was largely influenced by declines in information technology stocks, NVIDIA, down around 3%. Healthcare stocks like United Health Group, which plummeted over 22% after a disappointing earnings and guidance. Meanwhile, Eli Lilly soared over 14% on positive weight loss drug trial data. And this is important for us because I know that we trade some of these other smaller stocks that are also attached to the weight loss part of healthcare here, whether it be GLP-1s or otherwise. So that news is likely going to continue to affect a lot of these. I think we had some small movers last week that moved on this news. Obviously, we've had HIMS, which has been a big winner for our group here, both to the long and the short side, frankly. So we had more of that here recently, and it looks like Eli Lilly coming out with some really good data. They did a pretty good job finishing higher. All right, let's get to our good old friend Ryan Dietrich here. According to data shared by Ryan Dietrich from Carson Research, the best and worst days tend to occur near the same time. He cautioned the investors with a graph of the best and worst days and said, so once again, if you sell after the worst days, odds are that the best days are around the corner. This is another primary reason why not panicking is always the right move. I was actually, during my round of golf on Friday, I was talking with a couple of buddies that are both market participants, but they're not everyday folks like we are, where we're checking in every day. And it just kind of reinforced that I was trying to think back. I cannot recall a single time in all of my years doing this where in hindsight, when I have the benefit of hindsight, when I look back and I think, yeah, panicking was really the right move. I've never seen that. You folks let me know if you've ever come across that, but I've never seen that. And this data point really kind of speaks to that, right? If you have some of these big days that causes you to get worried and panic, chances are that there's a really good day right around the corner. And if you're going to hold through the bad day, you definitely want to get some recourse on the good day. So it's important to always have a plan, well thought out, and not panic when you get bad data presented to you. Here's another way to show that the best and worst days tend to occur near the same time. So once again, if you sell after the worst days, odds are that the best days are right around the corner. You can see how closely related they are. In fact, producer, did you put that in here? No. I'm going to throw this article in here. There are a couple of good tweets that you might want to look into here from Ryan if you didn't already. He goes on to say, Dietrich highlighted that after recent corrections, the S&P 500 advanced decline line has held in surprisingly well. He highlighted that the ratio was well above its January lows. So this is actually a pretty interesting chart, and shout out to Anne-Marie, who is constantly getting us to take a look at the advanced decline data or the advanced decline line. I've started to look at that more recently, and it sometimes paints a different picture than just the arrows for the market here. So this chart is pretty interesting. I'm going to see if I can blow it up for you so we can take a look at it. One potential positive is the S&P 500's advanced decline line has held up surprisingly well. Yes, the price made new lows, but the AD line is still well above the January lows. Here's the actual tweet itself, and let's see if I can blow this up. Here you go. It should be a lot easier to see. So if we take a look here, here's the bottom chart here is going to be the price of the S&P, and you can see this is really kind of falling and coming back in, but the advanced decline line is not doing that. And this to me is a pretty good sign. Now, obviously, we're going to need for this to continue. If the advanced decline line continues to roll over and stocks really just sell off, obviously this changes here. But so far, it looks like there's still tactical buying going on, even when asset prices are coming in. That tells me that the asset prices were overinflated. And what we're actually going through right now, a bit of a reckoning, probably a good thing, especially in the long run. Obviously, in the near term, looking at red arrows sucks unless you're a shorter. But I think for the long term here, we're probably setting ourselves up for something better here. Let me go back to US. Where was that? Here we go. Katusa Research underscored in an X post that the market, quote, is approaching bubble territory, end quote. And the S&P 500 Shiller Cape ratio, which Tim Melvin talks about quite a bit, or the cyclically adjusted price to earnings ratio was nearly twice its historical average of 17.58. All right. And he gives some stats for that. So again, what we'd really like to see here does seem like we're trying to have a reset of some of these asset prices, bring some of these valuations back in. that would be good for the long term here. It goes, or the article goes on here, quote, the dean of valuation, XIII Damodaran, I'm sorry for butchering that, Damodaran. I was actually practicing that before we start. I still butchered it. Also cautioned investors against the simplistic interpretation of buying the dip in his latest blog post. Damodaran warned that buying the dip can be like catching a falling knife. Boy, that's something that we've talked about quite a bit, isn't it? As an initial decline might precede a much steeper and prolonged sell-off. Instead of a one-size-fits-all approach, there are a couple of other things that you can do here. The value contrarian, this investor seeks to out fundamentally undervalued companies that have been unfairly punished by the market. I feel like we've done a good job of trying to do that here. Their focus is on intrinsic value, patiently waiting for the market to recognize the discrepancy between price and worth. Buying the dip for a value contrarian involves identifying fundamentally sound companies whose temporary price decline offers a more attractive entry point. Let me know if any of you have those on the radar. What are you looking for? What are you looking to add? What's come more into the value zone for you that has enticed you to add that? I'm actually still waiting for a little bit more on PanW. I do see here in the pre-market 165, so maybe we're getting to an ad spot for that. Catalyst-driven contrarian and the sentiment contrarian are the other two here. Sentiment contrarian, the investor bets against the prevailing market sentiment. This has been really helpful for playing some bounces back here, often buying when fear and pessimism are rampant. They believe that the market tends to overreact. Yeah, indeed it does, creating opportunities for profit. I think the big thing here is obviously you want to have a plan and be able to protect your profit in both ways. The catalyst-driven contrarian, the investor looks for companies facing temporary setbacks or negative news that they believe will eventually be resolved. Tesla really kind of fits into that. Okay. This is also outlining some other economic data here really quickly. We've got lots of Fed speakers throughout today, but also throughout the week. We have the Richmond Fed manufacturing tomorrow. We have the S&P Global Composite Manufacturing Services PMI on Wednesday, durable goods on Thursday, initial jobless claims and home sales also on Thursday. And then we also have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment print on Friday. So we do have a number of economic the data points coming out here this week. It's unclear how many of these will actually have a big effect. I got to think that the PMI and the Michigan Consumer Sentiment probably going to be the two biggest movers there. The other thing that we should discuss here real quick, or at least be prepared for, is going to be the huge slate of earnings that we have coming up. Now, I'm really curious from the group, is anyone looking for earnings plays here today, or is your foot off the accelerator? Are you kind of waiting a little bit for earnings to shake out? Are you waiting for after earnings, or are you actually trading earnings for the print itself? Be curious to know if anyone's got trades set up for this here. Today, not a whole lot. There's some more banks on here, but it really kicks up tomorrow. Tomorrow in the morning, we've got 3M and Northrop Grumman, Verizon, and GE. Those are probably going to be your biggest ones. I guess you could throw Lockheed Martin in there as well. And then after hours, of course, we've got Tesla and Enphase. Also, we're going to have Capital One reporting earnings there. So tomorrow should be a pretty busy day. Wednesday before the open, AT&T and Boeing. Who's got a trade idea on Boeing? I actually think that, I'm not sure yet, but I suspect that this might be one of the prints that we could try playing. So I'm curious to know if any of you have any trade plans on Boeing. We'll see here. And then looking forward there, obviously we've got Intel and Google on Thursday. I guess honorable mention there to Gilead as well. Some of those energy names are going to be reporting early in the morning there. Valero, will be interesting to see what they do. Southwest might have more kind of a comment on the economy and all of that. And then AbbVie on Friday. AbbVie and AutoNation there on Friday. So this we're starting up the pretty big earnings, I guess, week here. There's going to be more every other week. Let me know if there are any earnings here this week that you folks are looking to play. All right. Let's talk here about Netflix because they reported earnings. You know what? Let's actually start with the Netflix chart. How about that? Then we'll go to the actual news story here. Let me bring up the Netflix chart. One of the things that you had seen here, we had talked recently about breaking out of this recent area here, the highs that this made at the end of March. We also have a pretty significant volume shelf up here around 975. Currently have this at like 974 and change, but right around 975. Sure looks like Netflix is trying to tease a breakout. We have this long-term trend line that goes all the way back to 2022 that we've really kind of obeyed. We've bounced off of that. We never even really printed the test of the 200-day. Although we pulled back down towards it, we never really printed it here. Netflix holding higher here by 1.73%. If you take a look inside, though, you can see we were actually above 1,000 when we reported the earnings on Thursday. We popped above, we gave it back in the after hours. Now it looks like we're taking another leg down here, but this might be in sympathy with the rest of the market, as this is also kind of coming in here a little bit. So I'm curious to know if Netflix is tradable here today. The one thing that I will say, if this market kind of like pulls out of the open and finds its footing early this morning and starts to maybe the market doesn't even have to bounce like crazy, but if this really starts to firm up a little bit early in the day, I expect Netflix to bounce pretty hard here today. The report was actually pretty good. We talked earlier, it did get some upgrades earlier. There were a bunch of other price targets as well. I mean, KeyBank raised their price target. Wells Fargo raised their price target. Canaccord, we talked about that. That was the actual upgrade there. JP Morgan raise their price target. So a lot of good news here after that report here for Netflix. We talked a little bit about this being one of the more recession-proof names. Who's really going to be canceling their Netflix subscription first if they're trying to pare back some of their expenses? I put Spotify in the same category here as Netflix. These are fairly inexpensive monthly subscriptions, and I think these survive the chopping block if the consumer does continue to tighten here, which makes it pretty attractive if you do think we're going into stagflation or a recession. So I'm just kind of curious how you folks are playing Netflix here today. Again, like I said, as far as like where I sit here today, Netflix has pulled back a little bit here in the pre-market, still holding on to some of those green arrows, still up by about 15 points. I gotta think that if the market holds together here today and doesn't just sell off all day, Netflix could be a prime candidate for a potential bounce play here, maybe even a short-term trade. Well, let's get to the actual story here. What happened? Netflix reported its first quarter earnings revenue of $10.54 billion. That was up 12.5% year over year. Like I said, this company is absolutely killing it. The revenue total beat a street consensus estimate of $10.52 billion. The company reported earnings per share of $6.61. That beat the consensus estimate of $5.74. Revenue and operating income came in ahead of company guidance, according to the company. Netflix said higher subscription and advertising revenue and the timing of expenses contributed to the guidance beat. Remember, they stopped saying, here we go. Netflix did not break out subscriber growth, or total subscriber figures as it previously disclosed it would stop doing on a quarterly basis. That didn't even hurt it. You know, we've got some other companies either opting to not give guidance or give two different sets of guidance. Looks like in hindsight here, Netflix not breaking out those subscriber or total growth numbers is really not going to hurt it. At least it hasn't early on here. Here are some revenue figures by region. UCAN region plus 9%, EMEA region plus 15%, LATAM plus 8%, and the APAC 23%. So just killing it across the board here. Quote, we're executing on our 2025 priorities, improving our series and film offering and growing our ads business, further developing newer initiatives like live programming and games. This is what we've talked about a lot recently, the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight, as well as the football games on Christmas Day. That was a massive success. And sustaining healthy revenue and profit growth, and it looks like it's hitting on all cylinders here. WWE Raw on Netflix launched in the first quarter, and the company said the content has been on its top 10 global list every week. Other content highlights from the first quarter include Adolescence, Back in Action, and Counterattack. I don't follow wrestling anymore, whatever it's called anymore. I don't. I watched that stuff when I was a kid. I don't follow it at all anymore. I understand WrestleMania was last night. You folks will have to tell me if that's a needle mover for any of this. I have no idea. Netflix announced Reed Hastings transformed from executive chairman to chairman of the board and a non-executive director. Netflix is guiding for second quarter total revenue of $11.04 billion, which would be up 15.4% year over year. Earnings per share for the second quarter is $6.61. The company maintained its full year revenue guidance of $43.5 billion to $44.5 billion. So again, maintaining the full year. Good stuff there. All green arrows here for Netflix. The company said its live event strategy remains unchanged and highlighting an upcoming boxing match on July 11th, as well as the addition of a second NFL game on Christmas Day, which it opted into. Who's excited about this? Who thinks that boxing or maybe adding new NFL games? Tell you what, it's hard for me to bet against NFL editions. I got to think that if they continue to add games to their portfolio, whether it's holidays or otherwise, it's going to become more and more important for Netflix. I've talked a lot about or with other sports fans about this with a good, healthy mixture. People that have Netflix and like it, people that don't have Netflix and don't really care. And the consensus is the same. If there are going to be more important live events, whether it's football, boxing, or otherwise, it's going to draw more people to Netflix. If they continue to execute on this path, I only see green arrows here unless they start overpaying for some of these rights. It doesn't look like they're there yet, especially not with the numbers that they're putting up here. Goes on to say, we remain optimistic about our 2025 slate with a lineup that includes returning favorites, series finales, new discoveries, and unexpected surprises designed to thrill our members. So it looks like Netflix here, in addition to putting up good numbers, also just crushing it on the content. We've talked a lot about some of the backlash here for other content, like, for example, Snow White and Disney. Doesn't look like Netflix is really struggling from that problem at all. Quote, we are working hard to improve and expand our entertainment offerings with the goal to build the most valued entertainment company for members, creators, and shareholders. Let me know, folks, how bullish or bearish you are on Netflix. Do you think that there's a trade here today? Do you like Netflix long term? Is this one of the stocks that's on your list to add when the market kind of comes in and brings other stocks with it? Let me know how you feel it on Netflix here. Looking awesome. Really quickly, let me catch up here. Hans, appreciate you. Long Netflix from 950 in earnings trade. Oh, yes. Hans, we're going to start off here with a register ring for you. You should be all right. Let me know how you finish that trade up. Looks pretty good there. There's the Netflix report. Thank you, producer. Glass half full says a sell-off day would be nice. Looks like someone else is still waiting for some of these asset prices to be reset or cut down a little bit. I'm with you on that. A long all-day sell-off would be nice. Yeah, you don't hear that very often. I will say I did carry in some of that XPSX short, so I am short going into today. I would probably lighten some of this here if we flush right out of the open. Got a bunch of contracts left. They were cheapies, so I can actually part these out in tranches, especially if we continue to move down here. We'll see what we do right around the open on that. Good morning, Prudnika. Good morning, all sorts. Who else did I miss there? I think I got you all. Cam, good morning. There's 9 IPOs today. Whisk, give me a list there. I'll check in. I wonder if they're... I wonder how good those IPOs are. But yeah, let me know. I can always ask the news desk too and see what they had there. I didn't have any on there. Good morning, Ryan. Great to see you. Welcome back. Hopefully your Easter holiday was excellent. Okay, let's talk a little bit here about Tesla real quick. Once again, we're going to start with the chart. I do think Tesla is going to continue to be on deck pretty much every day. Let me go ahead and kill the fib drawing. You can see exactly where we're at here. Tesla at 232 here in the pre-market, down just shy of 4%. The catalyst bringing Tesla in here today. Sorry, that guy looked like Roger Goodell, but it's actually the CEO of Fastenal. So I got fooled there. Tesla shares are trading lower following a report indicating the company postponed the U.S. debut of the affordable version of the Model Y SUV. So stop me if you've ever heard about about Tesla timeline not being correct. We've gone through that quite a bit here. Tesla is still, though, sitting right at this support area. Really kind of looking at 220 here. Sure, can overshoot it by a couple of points, but really looking to see if this bounces off of 220. I think if this loses 220, of course, you've got 200 as the next level down here, but also really kind of looking at this 175 consolidation area from 2024. They also had I think the dead lows there was 140. Right? Was that from? Yeah, the previous lows were there in 2023. So these are kind of the downside levels that I'm looking at on Tesla. Unsure where this is going to really go here today. Does look like 230 was about the bottom in the pre-market. We'll see if it bounces from here. If we take a look inside Tesla here, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Looks like it defended 230 a little bit. We're beneath VWAP. We'll see if this firms up here. Volume really not crazy here on Tesla yet. So we'll see what happens around the opening print. Let's get to the actual news here. According to a report published by the Economic Times on Monday, a U.S. EV giant is in talks with Micron Technologies as well as India's XIII. Tesla had last year signed a deal with India's Tata Electronics. Okay, so it's actually eyeing in India as a possible semiconductor chip supplier as the company looks to alternate supply chains in the midst of the growing U.S.-China trade tensions. Excuse me. Quote: Tesla spoke to representatives from 3 large semiconductor facilities that have taken off in India: Micron, XIII, and Tata Electronics. A source cited. As he told the publication. The report also states that Tesla had called for meetings with the companies to gauge the chips and discuss scale as well as operational timelines. The news comes as Tesla looks to expand into the Indian automotive market. Recently, a Tesla Model Y was spotted testing on the outskirts of Mumbai. Now, this is important here. Elon Musk has shown interest in India for some time, with the billionaire having met the Indian Prime Minister Modi earlier this year in Washington. Modi recently shared a post on X where he said the two discussed various issues, including some of the tariffs here. In fact, Tesla had tried to enter the Indian market on 2 previous occasions. However, it was unsuccessful due to India's high tariffs. It's amazing we didn't hear a ton of that. Amazing that we didn't hear a ton of that. Anyway, on luxury EVs and the government's insistence that Tesla manufacture vehicles locally, the Indian government has since slashed its import tariffs from 110% to 15%. So we'll see how this ends up shaking out here. Musk also took to X to share how he was looking forward to visiting the country later this year. Tesla delayed the launch of its more affordable Model Y version. The vehicle was initially set for launch within the first half of the year. Unclear when we're actually going to see that here. So you folks let me know what you think here about Tesla. I know that this is one of the most active tickers that we have here in this on the show. It's one of the most active tickers in the market, and there's bulls and bears abound here on Tesla. So let me know, do we test any of these support areas? Do we have a bounce set up here today? What are we doing here with Tesla? What are we doing here with Tesla? Here you go. Thank you, producer. Wiss says I was wrong. Interesting. So which one is it? Are you saying these are all IPOs for today? These look really small. I don't recognize any of these. We'll see. Okay, let's keep rolling here. Here we go. We gotta give you some doom and gloom here. In the morning on a Monday. I mean, Trump's still president, so the doom and gloom has to keep coming. Tech Bull says time is ticking for trade deals as earnings season gathers steam, calls NVIDIA's China disclosure a game of who blinks first. And here it is. It's Dan Ives. Who's surprised to see Dan Ives with the hair on fire here? Amid escalating trade tensions between the U.S. and China, Tech Bull Dan Ives thinks the time is ticking for trade deals as Wall Street reels from the aftermath of a tug of war between the world's top 2 economies. NVIDIA finds itself in the center of a geopolitical tug of war. The U.S. has imposed new restrictions on NVIDIA's H20 chip sales to China, a move that underscores the ongoing struggle for technology supremacy. I'm not going to read Ives' entire note here. If you folks want it, I'll throw it in the chat here. Not going to read the whole thing. I just give some thoughts on tariffs and markets going into this week. He's pretty much long all of the tech names, so it makes complete sense. why he'd be saying this right now. The White House is under pressure to finalize trade agreements with China as the market and tech industry seeks clarity. The lack of progress could lead to economic downturns affecting the 10-year yield, USD, and gold prices, Ives added. In particular, the Wedbush analyst believes the tech sector is particularly vulnerable with companies like NVIDIA caught in the crossfire. The part that's so rich about this for me is that when he was cheerleading the move all the way up, there was never any risks. There were never any risks. And the reality is with any of this, there are always risks. And I'd like to hear both sides instead of just one side back and forth. But I digress. As the U.S. and China engage in a high-stakes trade war, the focus will be on which side will concede first. That might be tough to discern. NVIDIA, which is among its leading companies in the artificial intelligence space, is seen as a strategic piece of the puzzle by the Trump administration to maintain the supremacy of the U.S. economy. I think that goes without saying here. Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, recently traveled to China earlier last week to mitigate the situation, emphasizing the importance of the Chinese market for NVIDIA's global strategy. I think this is great. Definitely want to have the CEOs going back and forth, make them do some work. I don't think there's any negative there. The restrictions on NVIDIA come when Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng, I'm hoping I'm getting that right, has been encouraging U.S. companies, including NVIDIA, to expand their investments in China. Seems like a copycat move, does it not? This duality highlights the complex nature of U.S.-China relations, where economic interests often clash with political strategies. In a related development, billionaire investor Mark Cuban has expressed concerns over potential human costs of the trade war, particularly in the pharmaceutical sector. Cuban warns that rising costs could have dire consequences, emphasizing the broader impact of the trade tensions. Meanwhile, Huang's visit to China included meetings with key officials, reflecting NVIDIA's efforts to navigate the challenging landscape. So let me know, what do you think here on NVIDIA? And I guess perhaps more important, where's the actual buy spot on NVIDIA, right? Because we talked a lot about here. Let me actually put the drawings back on. I've talked a lot about the parallel channel here. Glenn, I believe you were the one that gave the fib level here that we have marked off at 98.75. Well, guess what? We're at 98.30. We're basically right around this level. In fact, it might be time for me to extend this parallel channel a little bit to see where the bottom actually is. At this point now, we've got the fib level. That's going to come into play here today. And then it looks like maybe we're talking about $90 here for NVIDIA. We do have the 500-day at 87 and change. That 500-day is coming up, but it is slowly kind of rounding at the top there. We'll see where NVIDIA's bounce spot is. You folks tell me where you think the add spot is for NVIDIA. Where's a safe spot to either day trade this, and or where is the safe spot to add this to the long-term portfolio? I think, the trade tensions are one thing here. NVIDIA is an extremely important company. Reality is it's not going anywhere. At some point, this is going to be a hell of an add and a hell of a hold. Really, the question is when. And I'd like to get that from you folks here. Okay. I think that does it for NVIDIA. How much time do we have? We actually 13 should be here pretty soon. And there's just a couple of more things that I wanted to go over here real quick. Oh, yeah, had to go. Here we go. Let's continue some of the gloom and doom here. Let's talk about the ongoing spat that's going on right now. Chicago's Fed president expresses concerns over Trump's intention to dismiss Jerome Powell. So in case you were on Mars in a cave under a rock with your fingers in your ears last week and over the weekend, you have probably heard that there's a spat going on right now. We'll see how this all shakes out. This is basically the breakdown here. Chicago Fed President Austin Goolsbee, who I heard on Squawk Box this morning. I'm not too sure how serious that. Actually, Goolsbee is literally on Squawk Box as we speak. But I heard one of the folks on Squawk Box floated him as a potential successor to Powell. Interesting. Citing him maybe being more dovish, which comes as a surprise to me. But we'll see how this all shakes out. Anyway, Goolsbee has voiced serious concerns over President Trump's recent remarks about removing Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Trump's comments made following Powell's speech at the Economic Club of Chicago. Powell basically said, yeah, we don't need to cut. Trump said, yeah, we do. And that's pretty much where the spat originates from. Reignited a long-standing debate over the presidential power to remove federal chair leaders. Goolsbee warned that such an action could severely undermine the credibility of the U.S. central bank with far-reaching consequences of economic instability. What's interesting here is that he didn't mention that calling inflation transitory incorrectly for years didn't undermine the credibility of the U.S. institution. I'm surprised he didn't say that. JK. Trump has repeatedly criticized Powell for not cutting interest rates quickly enough in response to economic conditions, particularly following his controversial tariff policies. Powell has argued that the tariff increases announced by Trump have significantly impacted inflation and economic growth. Yeah, it recently made the price of gas go down. It's so crazy how much less I'm spending on gas. God, it's so terrible. Sorry, I'm a little spicy here after the chocolate bunny over the course of the weekend. Trump has blamed Powell for not acting swiftly enough to ease interest rates, which he believes are necessary to counter the negative economic effects of his policies. Now, the other really big thing to note here, the worst possible thing to happen from all of this would be for inflation to become entrenched and then really kind of kick back up and go to double digits. I don't think that's going to happen, but it does seem like the Fed is kind of balancing some of that, although haven't heard them talk about inflation being entrenched. That's probably a good thing. Nonetheless here, quote, I strongly hope that we do not move ourselves into an environment where monetary independence is questioned, end quote, Goolsbee said, highlighting the importance of keeping the Federal Reserve free from political influence. Trump's criticism of Powell and his intention to terminate him have been a topic of concern for some time. Trump lashed out at Powell for the Federal Reserve's reluctance to cut interest rates. This was followed by Senator Elizabeth Warren warning about a potential stock market collapse if Trump decides to follow Powell. Investment strategists have also warned that Trump's potential attempt to dismiss Powell could rattle U.S. financial markets and undermine central bank independence. I know that there are some Bitcoin bulls out there. They might be secretly doing this, but they are pumping their fist. Furthermore, White House National Economic Council Chair Kevin Hassert confirmed that the Trump administration is exploring ways to remove Powell, adding to the uncertainty. Again, we'll see how this all shakes out. I gotta think that cooler heads are going to prevail on this one. We've had this discussion quite a bit here. I know Kevin Hassert said he's looking into or exploring ways for them to remove it. I think with Powell's term ending next May, it's literally a year from next month. I don't think that I don't think he's going to be removed, to be quite honest with you. If I have to make a call here today, I don't think he's going to be removed. I think if you wanted to force that, you're going to need to go through a bunch of legal channels. It might take longer than a year anyway, and his term is going to end next year in May. I bet he finishes out his term. I don't think that there's necessarily going to be lovey-dovey quotes back and forth for these two people, but I do expect Powell to finish out his term, and we'll see how that shakes out. Okay. What else do you folks want to go over? Let's see. What time is it here? 42. So we got just a couple of minutes. Okay. We can probably go over what stocks do you folks want to take a look at? I can start here. We already took a look at Tesla. We can start here with Google. We can go back to UNH. Let's see if what did I miss here? Anything? GB Slice, NVIDIA 78. Okay, sweet. So you're looking for 78. Shanshika, that's for NVIDIA, excuse me. Shanshika looking for 89.90 for a possible long-term hold on NVIDIA. Okay, starting to get some good NVIDIA levels here. 78 and 90 or 89.90, looking pretty good there. Okay. Let's see. Well, did you miss anything else here? A lot of back and forth for Powell and Trump, which we kind of expected. Lunar. Ed, you want to take a look at Lunar? Let me add that to the list here. BBAI mention. Wow, a blast from the past there. And Amazon, which, yeah, we already did look at Amazon, but I'm sure we'll look at Amazon again. Okay, Elf. Actually, Elf is a really good one. I wonder if that's bottomed yet. Yes, we can add. Oh my God, you pronounced my name correctly. LOL. Well, Sanshika, I'm glad that I was able to do that. I'll take that because I feel like I butcher names all of the time. And I'm certainly not trying to do that, trying to be as respectful as possible. So glad to hear I got one right. A broken clock is right twice a day, I guess they say. All right. Let's bring on 13. Let's see how he's doing. And then I think we can just kind of max out on charts here and just get prepared for the open. Honestly, I don't really think there's a whole lot of other news that we really look into. Let's bring 13 on. 13, how you doing, my man? How was holiday weekend?
Oh, it was wonderful. I had a great time. Went out to the in-laws and we boiled some crawfish and we ate them. We pretty much ate all of them. Had some that we didn't, so we just peeled them and set them off to the side for etouffee later. So
okay,
had a good time. How about you?
I was gonna say, sounds like you had a great weekend. I'll be honest, man, no complaints. Had a great weekend. Saw my mom. Had some really delicious food. Watched some good sports. Played some sports. It was great. It was great. Ready for another week here. Obviously, the earnings kick up here this week, so should be fun. Should be a fun week here. Where do you want to start? I do have some tickers to go over here that the chat wanted to take a look at. I think we've got some really good stuff to take a look at here too. Maybe just kind of crush these movers.
Yeah, I was coming on as quick as I could because I saw that, and I even mentioned in the chat that UPXI was starting to take off. That was when it was about still under 7, and now we're printing. Well, we printed over 11, but we're back into the 10 handle. This is moving on $100 million private placement. So they are raising money without issuing new shares for now. There's going to be restricted units issued, but I don't know how long those are going to be restricted. I'd imagine for some time, though. The company has a little more than 1 million shares in the float, and they have cash now. So that's.
I thought you were going to bust into a J.G. Wentworth song right there. I thought for sure.
They called 877 cash now. They sure did. They also have a portfolio for Bitcoin that they've been working on as well. So,
how about that?
But I think the big news here is that they have a $100 million private placement. They really needed the cash. They were, they're not burning a large amounts of it, but it's to the tune of about, I think it was $2 million or so a quarter. So this will last them quite some time.
Okay.
Now where this goes,
this is actually taking 3 legs up here in the pre-market.
Yeah.
Looks like we topped out at about 11 there. I gotta be honest, 13. I'm curious to hear what you have for levels or perhaps a plan here. But at this point now, with the stock up 320% and extended from the VWAP, I gotta think that the next play here is just kind of waiting for this to come back in and maybe give us a tradable bottom. What do you think?
Yeah, and I think that's what we're going to have to do, because when we look to the left here, we can see that when we got up to, I think it was like 11 and change, that was toward the top of this consolidation that we've had, since the beginning of toward the beginning of last year after we had this nasty drop. We did consolidate from about the end of February until the beginning of August, making some some lower lows in the process. But this consolidation here is, I think, what it's just run into. It's going to have to continue to chew its way through it. But once we get, if this manages to get back above 12 or 13, then it's probably going to have a little bit of an easier time going higher. But this consolidation here is what it's trying to currently work through.
Okay, yeah, you can totally see that here on a daily chart. I think you're right, and that 12 to 13 really kind of gives the upper boundary here on UPXI. We've seen this, and actually, let me just go back to the daily chart here, because we've seen moves like this before, right? Mm-hmm. Stock was about $4, spiked and went absolutely ballistic and traded up to 16. So we've seen multiple 100% moves. It is worth noting the stock likes to come back in. Don't get trapped in something like this, which is one of the reasons why I'm thinking that the next move here would be to wait this out for this to kind of come back in and give us a tradable bottom. Yeah, get in there.
We might not have to wait too long.
Nope.
One level that we should be keeping an eye on is 1150. So if you draw a line there and you look to the left and where all that consolidation is, you can see that back in November of 2023, we came right down to that level and bounced off it. And then after that recovery, when we did come back down and lose it, it started to behave as resistance. And sure enough, in June last year, it was the resistance area along with the 65 daily EMA, and took us lower. Every time that we've tried to pop back above that level, we have printed above it, but we have not seen any closes above it. So I think 1150 is going to be one particular level we have to keep our eye on if we can get back up there.
Okay. Okay. Like ideal performance or ideal trading action here today would be a pullback followed by a firm up and then maybe an attack on some of those new highs. I don't want to. The stock's up like crazy. I'm not going to chase that. I'm not going to chase that. Yeah.
Just look what it was doing prior to this big move before I came on. It was kind of consolidating, printing, some going back and forth a little bit, but overall just kind of staying within the around the 580 area. Before we finally got liftoff. So looking for a little bit more for some pullbacks and cooling off. Don't want it to go beneath 8 because that wouldn't be great. But if we just get a little bit of coming in, maybe some sideways action and let it set up for the next move, hopefully out of the open, we could see this go back up to 1150, hopefully higher.
Okay. We'll see if we end up getting that good stuff here. UPXI. I didn't even take a quick look around here. Short interest, which we look at on a lot of these stocks, 2.7% of the float shorted on 2.4 days to cover, but that's just because the volume is pretty low. Stock does have 1 million share plus in the float. Should be pretty good. There. Okay, UPXI. That's our top mover here today.
Yep.
And what it's moving on. Next one here is going to be SHFS. Okay, SHFS. And I was taking a look at this. We had a Form 8 on Friday, and it looks like the accountant Markham was terminated.
Yep.
Now, okay, so it sounds like you went through that PR2 or that form here too. So initially we traded up from the $2 level right to kind of where we fell away from at about $6. Now, since then we've resolved lower here at $4. 13. Quick look around the horn on this one. 0.5% of the float shorted here, 0.51% on 1 day to cover. That's negligible. Stock on average trades 44,000 shares, which is basically nothing. Today we traded 15.5 million. The float's 1.3 million. What do you think on this? Well, what do you think the next move is here based on this form?
Well, so the movement that we're getting today, I believe this is based off relative volume because we did have a huge amount of volume on Friday as a result of this Form 8K. But in that Form 8K, you do see that they are changing their public accounting firm, and they on Friday they approved the search for a new one. So they are moving forward with that, and they are saying to expect another Form 8K, which will indicate that they have found one and who that is. So I don't necessarily think that this is. When I was reading the 8K, it didn't seem like there were any irregularities that the accounting firm and the company had going on. They think that everything was fine. Everything was cordial. So it looks like this is just something that I don't know the exact reason why they wanted to terminate the last one they had, but it's just a business decision. They're moving forward, and everything looks fine. And we should be seeing an 8K out of whatever when they do find one they're going to land with. So that's what's going on with this. 1.3 million shares in the float. Company does need cash, though. That's the big thing that I was a little bit worried about was where is this money going to come from to keep operations going? The company lost 50 million last quarter. They're otherwise profitable, so I'm kind of scratching my head about what's going on with that. I didn't have the time to look into it. But when you do look at their balance sheet, they have almost 2.5 million on the balance sheet, and they're losing 50 million. I'm a little concerned about that angle of it. Not so much the Form 8K or them changing their accounting firm, but what's going on with their finances. So there may be something going on that is the reason why they changed their firms, but I didn't have time to look into that, and I don't know that I necessarily would need to. I think this is going to be something that I'm not going to really trade. I think UPXI might provide some better trades.
I agree with you.
So SHFS, if it provides a trade or a setup, maybe we'll take it, but I'm not going to lean too heavily on this one. I think the UPXI is going to be the better one to trade.
Yeah, and I think the first thing that I want to reiterate here is that with an accounting issue here, no matter how small or large, I really don't think this is one that you should try holding overnight unless you just don't care or have a negligible position. On the other hand, though, I will say that this does not feel like an SMCI issue where the accounting is going off the rails and shit needs to get fixed. And there was a short report, but it doesn't feel like that. So I don't think we're at panic levels here. But I think you brought up a really good point there. Yeah, you were not sure why they're replacing an auditor why they're replacing the accountant. And I guess maybe that information would help. I don't know. I agree with your take. I think UPXI will be a better vehicle here today. That's what's going on with SHFS. Please, with accounting issues kind of floating out there, please be careful about holding these.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next one that we have here on the list is ticker EVGN. This is Evogene. I know we've traded this one quite a bit here. ICL to acquire a majority activity of Evogene's subsidiary Lavi Bio. The terms were not disclosed here, so it looks like a subsidiary here of this company is being acquired. This did pop the stock. We're almost as high as 180. Looks like we topped out there 178. We've come all the way back in. We're right beneath the VWAP here. Actually, looks like we're trying to get above that. Our first attempt failed. We might be trying that again here. This actually might set up with some trend lines here on this. Let me take a quick look here at the short interest. 0.44% of the float shorted here with 1.23 days to cover. This comes on paltry average volume of 21,000 shares per day. Stock's got a float of 5.3 million. Today we've traded over 10 million. So what do you think here on ticker EVGN 13? Think we got a trade here?
You know, this is kind of interesting because this is the second stock that I've seen that has some kind of correlation to the cannabis industry. I think, yeah. So I thought that was a little bit interesting. I didn't cover this one, but I'm looking at the company description, and they're talking about CPD platform for the development of microbiome-based therapeutics, medical cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so as soon as I saw medical cannabis, I was like, okay, it's one of these. So it may be doing other stuff, but I didn't cover this one as some of these other ones I did this morning. But just looking at the stock here in terms of trading it in the chart, we're beneath the VWAP, and you made a point, I think, just a moment ago about how we've had a couple of attempts to get back over it without success so far, and this came from being under $1. So. Yeah, I don't know about this one, but it looks like this one's, if this recaptures VWAP, it could potentially recover, maybe get back up into the 150s. Let's take a look at the financials here and see what we're working with. This company, well, they just reported a quarter where they turned profitable. I don't know how long that's supposed to last. They have over $15 million in the bank. So they do have the ability to, burn cash and continue operations for like another quarter or two at least. The float is 5.3 million shares, so right what we're looking for. If we only had some more information on the sale of those assets, we probably would get better movement. But I think that impulse move that we got this morning was just really speculative because we don't know exactly how much was sold or for what amount. So it ran and then it came right back into VWAP. That's kind of the thing that I would expect with no figures attached. So this could be just another one that moves on the news with no real direction on how high it could go. But at least we have an early target. That's going to be the pre-market high of 181 if we do get back above VWAP.
Yeah, so I'm with you 100% on everything that you just said there. I do think that this is probably going to be a short-term only type thing. Again, courtesy of Benzinga Pro, you can use the company description to go right to the website. If you go right to the website and you look into the about for the company, it actually talks about some of its subsidiaries here. It actually lists the Lavi Bio subsidiary that we're talking about. But it goes on to say Evogene has established independent entities focused on defining commercial fields, holding an exclusive license to use Evogene's unique solutions for product development. The subsidiary may develop and commercialize products independently or through strategic collaborations. So it looks like this is just kind of part of the business, right? They've got a bunch of these different subsidiaries. They spin them off as necessary. They use them perhaps maybe as ways to kind of fund operations there. So this just seems like part of the plan here. I know we're getting the PR about it. One of the things that I would say is, while these technical levels are obviously going to be in play, I would just be careful on this. I'm not sure how outstanding this news actually is at the end of the day.
And just to clarify what other cannabis stock I saw this morning, that was SHFS. They are a financial service provider to cannabis-related businesses.
Okay. Good stuff there. Good morning, Lion. Great to see you. Hopefully your Easter was well. Lion. Hopefully your holiday went well. HG, good to see you. Rooster, good to see you. We will take a look here at Pfizer for you, despite it hurting my feelings. Glenn, STFU, good morning. Great to see you, folks. Okay, get ready.
Okay.
Get ready because MLGO is back again on the list, and you know it's back on No News. Let me just double check. Yep, back here on No News. So we should have some fun here with MLGO. It is worth noting that we do have this 908 level coming into play here. I think that we use this as kind of a support level. Like we were talking about this most recent move up here. We had a couple of these areas marked. I think your 46 level was one of your crazy levels that you had identified for us here. We've come all the way back down, and we're kind of sitting right there at this $9.08 level. Oh, excuse me, $9.55 level. I beg your pardon. I'm reading my things wrong here. We've tried to go above that level twice here today. Couldn't. We're actually beneath the VWAP right now. Again, a quick reminder here on some of the stats. 42.62% of the float shorted. That read came from the 9th of April. We have 1 day to cover on this because the volume is just absolutely ridiculous. 24 million shares on average. Today we've traded 7. Float here is just shy of 10. So what do you think here on the ex-girlfriend MLGO? You think we got a trade here today?
Oh, if we do, you're going to want to pay attention to those previous levels. It kind of went all up and down. One level that really stands out, 1150. 1150 stands out pretty nicely, and we can start with last week. If you go to like a smaller time frame, that's what, a 5 minute. That might work.
It's a 5.
So if you start looking to the left, you're gonna see that it's last week looks like the 14th and 15th we just kind of went sideways. Yeah,
right around 1150.
Mm-hmm. So 1150 is going to be if we get above 10, and we still have a ways to go here. There's the 200. We got some. No, we don't have any EMAs above it. We just have the VWAP. We have 960, the pre-market high of 1013. After that, I'd look at 1150. That's where we were kind of getting support for 2 days before we lost it on Friday. Or I'm sorry, what day was that? That was Thursday. Lost it on Thursday. But if you look even further back, you can see that on the way up, this was also a support area. After we broke through 1150.
Yes, it was right back here in March.
Mm-hmm. So I think 1150 is going to be a pretty important level. If we get above 10, that'll be the next one I'd be watching for. Then we could, you can start looking at levels like 813.85 or some really wild ones that get up into because this thing was going absolutely crazy when we were trading it before.
Yeah, it was
from like the teens to the high 20s in a day. Or a matter of hours. So I think that for now I would just kind of leave it at that. And if we start to go higher than 1150, we can look at other levels. But we're not at that 1150 yet. So I think that's where I would start to be looking at if we do get above 10.
Okay. Real good breakdown there. Good morning, Richard Judge and Beach Bum Trading. Great to see you. Hopefully your weekend was well here. STFU, really good stuff. He loves your 1150 level. STFU locked in, ready to get going here today. Okay, really good breakdown there in MLGO. I don't think we really need to spend a whole lot of more time on this. We've actually traded this one recently. It should be kind of fresh in our memory. Let's see, Evo Gene, we talked about that. You did all 4 of those. It's just adjusting here a little bit. APVO, SBFM, and GURE, excuse me, GURE. We're going to take a look at those here coming up. Here's APVO. We did have a Form D released on Friday. We had no other news. Let me just make sure here. This was Friday afternoon. Remember, this was during Good Friday where the markets were closed here. I actually didn't go through this one. Was there anything?
I tried to, cover as much as I could because I was starting to come on here before I could get too much into it. But I think that the company issued shares in a form of a kind of a private placement type deal. But it wasn't a lot. I think it was like 2 million or something. And I don't know exactly.
Yeah, it was 2.1 million here USD worth.
Yeah. So it was, and I think it may have been sold to, the president or CEO.
Marvin White.
Yeah, so I think that's all it was, just like kind of a bit of an insider buy, but they were issuing shares to him. I think is what it was. So
okay.
And again, I'm sorry I didn't cover that in detail, but I believe that's what the Form D is indicating, is that there was some shares created and issued to that gentleman so that the company could raise capital. I think they're RSUs, but I'm not 100% sure.
Now, APVO, we did pop about as high as 165. We've come all the way back in from this. I'll be honest, maybe we get some type of technical setup here on a move through VWAP, maybe a potential build above VWAP, but this one's not on my radar here today. I got a bunch of other stocks that I'd rather look at here. So I'm not going to be trading this one. I will see if it sets up, but here, let me give you a quick look around the horn. Oh, whoa.
But while you're doing that, I'm watching UPXI. It popped up and went up to 1176 and came back in. It's struggling around the 1150 area that we identified.
Okay. All right, real quick here. I can go back to that real quick, but APVO 26.5% of the float shorted with 3.36 days to cover there. Floats 3.2 million. An average stock trades 1.2 million here. Okay. Let's go back to that UPXI.
That's right at 1150 right now, trying to make its way through it.
Oops. Here you go. And actually this is what I wanted to see. We did take out that pre-market high and set a new one here. So 12. Yep. Now your next spot. Okay, great. Jay Rice, good morning. It's great to see you. Strategically optimistic. I love that name. Good morning. Smoked Tuna in the house. Good morning. Bonjour, Smoked Tuna. Great to see you. And then you folks are also talking about gold. Nothing's changed here for me on gold. I know you folks are mentioning how it's going vertical. Spot price on gold's above 3,400. I like here the first part of strategically optimistic. Watch for gold to tank when people settle in with the tariff stuff. If you're long gold right now, with whatever your trade plan is, whatever your risk allotment is, you should be figuring out how to get yourself paid for that. I don't think that the time to buy gold is right now. And I think that you can wait for a pullback here in gold. Personally.
Yeah, I think that's what's coming next for gold, because I was mentioning in the happy hour chat last week that I think that once we get to 3,500, that could be the sell signal. That's when I mean, and when I say that, I'm just saying that in the sense that because of how much of a run that gold's been on, it's very extended, and I'm anticipating a pullback in the middle. And I think the question's been, where does that pullback begin? I think it begins at 3,500. Maybe I'm right about that. Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
But I think it's just so extended that at some point it's going to have to pull back. And I've been talking about how I thought that 3,500 might be what we could see in gold before the end of the quarter. It looks like we're headed there much sooner than the end of the quarter, much more quickly. But I think if we are going to experience that that pullback in gold or that sell off in gold, but I don't think it's going to be the end of it. I think gold could end up going higher later on. But once we hit 3,500, I think that's going to be the indicator to sell.
Okay. Really good stuff there. Complete with a spot. James here summarizing it perfectly. If you ask me, it is time to trim and rotate. Yeah. James, I don't know if this is really perfect. I don't know if I could put this any better. When you got moves like this, trim and rotate. 13 to your point. If it does go higher, maybe hang on to a piece of it. Set yourself up to be able to add back to it. Really good stuff here, group. Really, really good stuff. Steve, good morning. It's great to see you. Yes, we did have a great long weekend, but we're both happy to be back here with the group and make some sense of what's going on ahead here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Line. Gold's going to correct. I think it has to. It's so extended, but I think it will go eventually higher.
Yep. And I mean, that's how these things work, right? Nothing goes straight up and down, or straight up or straight down. There's a lot of oscillation back and forth in there. Okay, SBFM. This is another one here real quick. SBFM, this is Sunshine Biopharma. We've talked about this one a whole bit. We've traded this one a lot. You can see here we're actually moving higher here in the pre-market. We did move almost as high as 180 before coming back in. We do have a PR here that they launched Imerolimus in Canada, an oncology drug with an estimated global market of $2.5 billion. So I'm not surprised to see that in the oncology field. I don't know the specifics of this particular drug or treatment. And it's also worth noting that it has an estimated global market of 2.5 billion. So it's no guarantee that it's going to get up there. Quick look around the horn here with SBFM, 5.22% of the float shorted with 5.65 days to cover. That comes on average volume of 1.19 million. Already here in the pre-market, we've traded 4.5 million. So I'm not sure that we're really going to run into a huge squeeze issue there, but maybe here today. Float 3.63 million. You got anything on this one?
Everolimus is indicated for the treatment of advanced renal cell carcinoma, breast cancer, and postmenopausal women with advanced HER2 negative genotype, progressive, well or moderately differentiated neuroendocrine tumors of pancreatic, gastrointestinal, or lung origin, and subependymal giant cell astrocytoma associated with tuberous sclerosis complex. Nora Pharma's everolimus is available in strength of. Okay, so basically, it's help the treatment.
Chewbacca loves that you at least attempted that.
Yeah, that was a tongue twister. So yeah, it looks like it's a treatment for oncology related diseases. I guess that's about as specific as we can get. The float being 3.6 million shares. They just raised some capital, so it doesn't look like they're going to need to raise cash right now. They already had. I don't know if this reflects the cash that they raised on their balance sheet, but they still had about 3 to 4 quarters left in cash in order to continue operations. I don't know how far along they are with their drug pipeline either. I would have to take some time to look at that. But as far as what we can do is for the purposes of trading, let's take a look here at
the comment of the day. The early comment of the day here is when you were trying to pronounce that. Mo said, yeah. Mo said that you were casting a spell. Yeah. Oh, that is so good,
That's
Mo.
A good one.
This is how we start Mondays off, folks. We start them out laughing. Let's go.
Magic. All right, so let's see here with SBFM. This thing has plummeted beneath its VWAP after reaching a high of 177 in the pre-market. We're getting some support from some of these smaller EMAs, the 9 and the 15. I'm sorry, let me look at the 5-minute chart because that's what I'm supposed to be looking at. We are not getting support. We actually needing to look at support from the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. That's going to be the next level, the next support area down here. That's at 133, 134. Looks like this is going to head lower. Kind of a bit of a bearish pattern here on this chart to me, anyway. I think that we're going to have to look at either the 65 EMA or the 200 EMA as support areas because this does look like it's going to go lower.
Yeah, you know what it looks like to me? It looks like we might kind of trade around here a bit in this 142 to 150 area and then roll over. And I don't want anyone to necessarily think, oh, we're going to curl and attempt to retake those highs again and then get stuffed as the thing rolls over. That's kind of what it feels like to me. We'll see if we end up getting that. Okay, next here, last one, and then we'll go ahead and I know we're running out of time here. We want to run through some of the bigger stocks here. GURE, this is Gulf Resources. Stock closed here around about $1. Last week here, we traded up towards 160 here. We came all the way back in, pretty much round trip that entire move here. Do we have any news on that? Didn't see anything on here. Friday, we had a Form 10 in the after hours, the annual report. I didn't go through this. I guess I wonder what came out of this annual report. No, I'm not going to sit here and read it while we're on. Let's just take a quick look at what's going on here. 1.43% of the float shorted with 2.34 days to cover. That's on pathetic volume of under 100,000. Traded 13.5 million here. Floats 8.5. Do you have anything on this GURE?
Looks like this is, I didn't cover this one, but it looks like this is a company that's mostly into the bromine trade. That's one of their operating segments. I think it's most of where they get their revenue from is from that particular segment. Float 8.5 million. Finances, we got 10 million in the bank. They burned more than that in the last quarter. So it looks like they're going to either have to do a capital raise unless they did one recently. I'm not seeing that they did.
I don't have any recent offerings.
Yeah, so there's
1 for 5 reverse back in 2020.
Yeah, and then last year they got a notice from NASDAQ about non-compliance or a late notice of filing. So a little bit of a concern there with this one. I don't know that this is necessarily something I'm going to be interested in trading. But let's just look at the chart and see what we got. It's currently trying to hold above the 200 EMA on the 5-minute, although it does look like it's about ready to lose that as well. Maybe it opens and some new life is reinvigorated into it, and it goes back up to VWAP. I don't know.
Are you trying to say it might be resurrected when it's opened?
Sure.
We're just going with the Easter jokes here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it might find a bottom around $1, but this thing being so close to $1, it's as soon as it loses that, it's going to probably get shorted to hell. I think we just want to be careful with this one. If this starts to go lower to it where it looks like it's going to go under $1, maybe just take it off your screen, trade something else.
Okay. GURE. I don't know if I don't really know if there's a trade here for me. I will probably pass on this one, but that's what's going on. Okay, that takes care of the smaller movers. 15 minutes till we open here. We already took a look at Tesla. Google was one of the other stocks that folks wanted to take a look at here today. Google down 1.4% here in the pre-market. Looks like this is just kind of trading with the market. If we take a look here at the daily chart, it is kind of an important day here, given the level, as we're currently below the 500 here. Would definitely want to see that recaptured here today. The next low here, 143. The next volume shelf lower there, 138. That 138 level also lines up with some consolidation from a 2023 level, fall of 2023. We're still, our story is still the same here. Really, the 20-day moving average is providing some significant resistance here on Google. We're really unable to get above that, hold above that, break above that at all. We're actually compressing to the 500-day here, and the RSI is not at any outlier point yet. It's just pretty much in no man's land here. So I'll caveat earnings in 3 days here on Google. As I mentioned earlier, this is going to be one of the Thursday afternoon prints, probably the most important. I think that and Intel are going to be your big reports there on Thursday. And probably the second biggest report, maybe behind Tesla, maybe Boeing. We'll see. But Google reporting earnings here this week. 13, you got anything here on Google? Look, chart, levels, thoughts, trade, whatever.
Oh, I mean, levels, you could go back to September of last year, and that low could be one particular level that we're coming down to right now. And then, of course, we have the level that we just put in the lows from earlier this month that kind of line up to where the price was going sideways toward the back half of 2023 before we broke out over the 150 area and went higher. But we did have a death cross, so that could indicate that there's more downside coming, which wouldn't surprise me. But we are kind of consolidating and going sideways a little bit more than we have been lately. So we could be trying to find the bottom. I'm not suggesting that this is the bottom is in. I'm just saying that the selling has slowed down quite a bit. And with how we've been selling off into this earnings print, it could be one of those situations where it's just oversold to the point where it turns back up because the earnings were maybe slightly better than expected. So
I would rather see this trade down into earnings than trade up. There's no.
That's what I'm saying. It's trading down into earnings. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. And if that continues, that would actually be good for the.
Yeah, report. I think so too. So I think it's I don't have a whole lot of levels or any other upcoming catalysts. It's just the earnings that we're going to be getting on Thursday. So until then, whatever news comes out, that comes out, and then the big event's going to be on Thursday for this one. So hopefully we get that turnaround we're looking for. But I think it's just going to consolidate for now.
There we go. Good stuff there. Good morning, Rustam. Great to see you. Hopefully you had a great 3-day weekend as well, Rustam. Welcome back. Okay. Shamir, you're asking for QURE. I actually thought that you had said GURE earlier and thought, hey, we're going to take care of this here with the movers. No problem. No problem. But you were actually asking about a completely different stock. And here it is. Now, you see that this did pop here on Thursday. Obviously, the market was closed on Friday. I think this was on what the gene editing breakthrough. Help me out here. Unicure jumps on FDA breakthrough for Huntington's disease, right? So this was the breakthrough therapy designation for the treatment of Huntington's disease. Easy for me to say. So as far as a trade goes here, that news is old, right? That happened in Thursday. Stock popped in the morning. The good news here is that it really didn't give any of this up. This actually looked pretty legit. Here we are today. As far as a trade goes, like not knowing anything else going on with this, I would really want to hold this level here. We're going to call it 1260. but I'm actually going to come up with my own round number here so that my CDO is under control. 1250 here is the level that we really want to hold. I think if we break this down, we have a pretty huge gap all the way down to 945. I don't know what the stock's going to do, but this to me would be one of the levels to look for here. As far as an upside level, I think you can start looking at 1340. We break that pre-market high. We could break the high from the pre-market today at 1340. That might put 1440 here in play. That was going to be your high from Thursday last week. Do you have anything here on QURE for Shamir?
Yeah, we did look at this one on Thursday, and I even have some notes left on it. This one had a larger than we'd like to see float. It was a 53.5 million shares, so a little bit heavier than we'd like to see. They also lose a lot of money. They have a lot of it in the bank. You combine their short-term investments and their cash positions, you're talking over $360. But they're losing. Last quarter they lost 73. So they've got some time, before they run out of money or have to do some kind of offering. But this breakthrough therapy designation could help bring that one particular drug. I think it's the AMT 130. It could bring it to market much sooner than later as a result of this designation. How the stock trades today, I don't really know. Going sideways doesn't really give us a whole lot to work with. We've still, traded in that consolidation. So I would think that whichever direction we start to move out of this consolidation, that's the direction we're probably going to be heading for the day.
Okay. See if we get that. See if we get a tradable move here. QURE. Just my quick takeaway on this, really good that it's holding this level after that news. We often on some of these movers, and I'm not trying to lump this in with some other stocks that, maybe shouldn't be lumped into, but a lot of times we see that and just gives it back in really short order. This is not doing that. So that is notable there. Okay. UNH was going to be the next one that we wanted to take a look at. That, of course, had the huge move down. Stock was down over 20%. On that earnings move. We actually tried to bounce in the pre-market, took another leg lower, and we settled here just under 450. Looks like about 458. We're at 451 here. Boy, what happened to all my moving averages there? Let me get that back up. Okay. We're sitting here about 451, so we're actually above these lows. If you take a look here, if you back out, this area right here is going to be the big one. Right? This area here, I got it at about 445-ish in there. We really didn't want to lose this. So far, we have it. Now we're close, right? We're only about 6 points away from this area. So we'll see if UNH can really kind of turn around here. It's been hit massively. So I understand wanting to play this for a bounce. But what's the catalyst? What's the catalyst that's going to make us bounce here? You got any thoughts here? Levels, catalyst, next trade for ticker UNH?
Well, to me, it looks like this stock, ever since 2022, has been kind of trading sideways into a broadening wedge. So if we, to your point about that low that you were identifying there, if we drew a trend line from let's say the June 22 low through the April 24 low, that's where we could see some support to the downside here for UNH. And if not, then it's probably got some bigger headwinds that I'm not even thinking about right now. But excuse me, the interesting thing that I was taking, not really covering or paying too much attention to, but I kept seeing headlines about how the Supreme Court is going to be ruling on Obamacare, I believe. And I think that could have some implications to the entire health sector, the insurance companies as well. Sure. So I think that would be something that we would want to pay attention to, because I don't necessarily know how that's going to affect United Health. It's not something I've really dug into and researched. But being that Obamacare was a very prominently pushed measure for expanding access to health insurance, I would think that if any change happens to that, to Obamacare through a Supreme Court ruling, it could adversely affect this company as well.
Yeah, probably also other providers as well, like Humana comes to mind. It wouldn't be localized to this. Okay, good stuff there. Real quick, first of all, Izzy, good morning. Happy Monday. There were a bunch of price targets
I don't see upgrades. I see lowered.
Yeah, I think he made a mistake that he corrected on his own here. But yeah, the key that I want to mention here, while these price targets are being lowered, the lowest one that I see here is 520. This stock's at 451. So this has been
target reached.
Yeah, I mean, hugely blasted. So I understand wanting to try and maybe trade this for a potential bounce. This is not one that I really kind of follow and trade often. So I don't have a feel for it.
Yeah, exactly. Fairchild, the ACA, Affordable Care Act, Obamacare is kind of what I was talking about. Yes, that's what I'm referring to.
Okay. That does it for UNH here. Do have to shout out Izzy real quick. I did this earlier, Izzy. I don't think you were awake yet. Izzy here tweeting me last week, or actually telling the group here last week that there might be a potential Uber Hertz deal. Well, we got a Forbes article over the weekend. Bill Ackman teases the prospect of Uber and Hertz partnership. So, Izzy, what we're going to do here is we're going to give you a one-up for the foresight there. Chewbacca is also going to thank you. We really like that. It was a really, really good call. Let me know if you're trading that, how you're trading that, and if there's anything else that you have on that, like a time horizon, a gut feeling, anything. Let me know. Really, really good call. Just goes to show you here, folks. Our group is awesome. Our group is way more than the folks that you see on the screen and the guests that we bring on here. It is all of you, and y'all contribute on a regular basis, and we appreciate that. I'm up at 5:30 every day, even on vacation. My man, me too. I can't seem to sleep much past 5. And every time that I wake up in the morning and I think, man, I wish I could have slept in, I get little angry devil Jay Rice on my shoulder saying, the older you get, the earlier you rise. Don't fight it. And then I just get on with my day. So that's how it goes for me.
He ain't changing his cycle, that's for sure.
No. And honestly, there's something to be said for being an early riser. I don't really make it till midnight much anymore, but nothing good happens past 10 p.m. anyway. So that's okay. All right.
Right now, UPXI still having a hard time getting up to that or over that 1150 area. As a matter of fact, we haven't had really too many successful moves over 11 since we got up to that 1176. It's starting to put in a bit of a bearish pattern here, so we could see this go down before it comes back up. Look at the MACD as well. That's also indicating that this could roll over, and the smaller time frame RSIs are also indicating that this thing's overbought. I think this may experience some weakness out of the gate, but let's see what happens. I don't think this is done yet.
We talked about UPXI waiting for a pullback. I don't think it's done. 13. We'll be sure to check in on that. Someone suggested AIRO. I don't even know what that is. Let me know if that was a typo. Let's go ahead and talk about Lunar, which was the next one on the list here. Lunar is really, after its big move higher and then the tip over of the price, we basically just came right back down to the 500 and we're trading pretty much right there. We are beneath it here, but we're not beneath the recent support level. 13, I would defer to you. I know that this is down here today. I don't know that there's a new trade to really be had here or any new level. Is there something I'm missing? Ticker LUNR?
Well, unless they get a new contract, I don't think they're. I mean, I've said this for a while when it comes to Lunar. I'm still going to wait this one out, and I think there are better space plays out there. But this one is still consolidating between the I think it was 625. Yeah, 625 to 950 is kind of where the consolidation area is ever since we've had this massive sell-off, and we're going to death cross here pretty soon. Which could indicate that this may end up going lower. Now, this would be trading much better if they actually stuck the landing on the moon both times, or at least one of the times. That hasn't happened yet. So this company that builds and operates lunar landers is not really doing their job very well right now. And they have another launch coming up in October. So they're going to have to stick the landing on that one, or else I think this company could be done for. Might lose contracts. But for now, I'm just kind of waiting and seeing what this one does, because it hasn't been performing very well. So that's kind of where we're at with Lunar. Just kind of that consolidation between 625 and 950s, I think, where we're going to see it for now, maybe until we get that death cross. And I'm not sure how high or low it's going to go from there.
Okay. Real quick here, I'm just going to try to run through as many of these as I can. Rooster's asking, did I miss Pfizer? No, that's next. That's next. Stick around. I'll try to go through BBAI here. BBAI, this was another one that was brought up here. It is worth noting that we do have earnings next week on this one. Company's actually already confirmed it. BBAI, it seems to me like the trade here is done. It seems to me like the talk about this being the next Palantir was totally overblown. Ryan, I saw you commented earlier. I'm glad I sold this in the 8s. We'll give you a register rating for that because that was money. You were talking about this in the 4 and you had to double up on your trade. That is well done, my man. We did come all the way back down here. We're beneath the 200-day. So far, we've stayed above this 500-day. I don't really think that there's any news expected on this. We haven't had anything recent. Guess we did have a PR. Is this today? Yeah. Legal reminder here. I think this is just an ambulance chaser, though. They're set to report their fourth quarter earnings on May 1st. I think that's going to be our next catalyst here. I don't really have anything on BBAI. It seems like it's just kind of stuck in the mud. How about you, 13?
I think the whole AI trade is kind of, I don't want to say dead, but just really suffering.
I think you're better off with the leaders.
Yeah, so for now, I think that some of the junkier names may not work out so well, but they could come back at another time. But right now, they're not in favor. So let's not worry about the stocks that are not in favor right now. We have 20 seconds.
Yep. Okay. I did want to do Pfizer here real quick.
Okay.
Pfizer's been just real tough. This is a no touch for me. Just morally, I can't possibly own this company. You were talking earlier, Rooster, about the dividend yield here. It looks like the most recent payout was 6.8%. I think that yield's actually over 7 now. So I understand this. I don't think this company is going away. No matter what happens with it, we'll see if the new administration is a little bit tougher on them. I still think that this is actually a fairly decent own for the dividend. So yeah, let me know if you've got any thoughts on that, on Pfizer here. I know we're open. I'll get over there in a sec.
Yeah, this is, Pfizer's getting really extended to the downside. I think there should be some support coming soon. Maybe that happens closer to 20, but we need to start to see some recovery here before I, want to pick up shares of this. So far out of the gate here with UPXI, we had a pop up to that. Wow, did we actually touch 1150 exactly? We sure did. Right to 1150 out the gate, and we came back in. It doesn't look like it's done yet. It could end up just completely going and taking out this 1176 here. But it's still, this pattern still does look a little bit bearish to me. So I would also not be surprised if this came right down through 10 and got support from VWAP. So I'm just going to be waiting to see what happens here with UPXI. I need to get a clear indication of direction, but so far it's just kind of bouncing around between 10 and 1150.
SPY here, first move out of the gate is higher on the SPY. So I know we were a little bit lower here in the pre-market. First move here is higher. Looks like the Dow and the NASDAQ doing the exact same thing. NASDAQ looks like it maybe pared some of that back. Oh, excuse me. Dow looks like it maybe pared some of that back. NASDAQ is rolling here. Here's UPXI. Looks like we are trying to take out the top there. Again, for me, I'd like to have a pullback here. I would not want to chase some of these upside candles. I'd really want to wait for this to pull back. It could pop this 12 and really provide a good trade, but it also at the same time kind of looks like it's getting heavy a little bit here.
It kind of looks like it's a very, very short-term head and shoulders. It just kind of has that look with the run-up. The lower shoulder, the head, and then the right shoulder that we're currently forming right now. So if we do drop beneath 10, I think that's going to be the resolution of the head and shoulders pattern, and that could end up taking us down to about 520, somewhere around there. And then we can look for this to set up for the next trade. But for now, it looks like it's had a massive run in the pre-market, and we need to have this thing cool off a bit. Yeah.
Okay. We'll see there. Here's DWTX. This is another mover here.
GURE is also moving up right now as well.
GURE actually looked like it tried. I don't know, maybe my chart's a little bit delayed here. Looks like it tried to take out that 117. Your 65 EMA on the 5 there. Looks like that got tested and rejected it here. By the way, Netflix, seeing this out of the corner of my eye. Look at Netflix. Look at Netflix. Told you that report wasn't that bad. Kind of felt like this was the one. Boy, I wish I would have followed my own advice. Had been great there. Felt like this one was probably the better trade right out of the open. Power candle here on Netflix, right up to that 1020. We took out 1,000 there. Giddy up on Netflix. SB Trader, I know you're not here, but you're out there. And I got to imagine you're smiling from ear to ear.
MLGO had a pop up to, what is this?
Is that moving?
987, and then it just completely turned around and went right through VWAP, and now it's testing the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. SBFM, this one also coming down, just multiple rejections of the VWAP, coming down to its 65 EMA. We'll see if we can get some support there.
SHFS, that is also coming in here. Pretty much no strength yet here this morning. UPXI still, actually looks like this is, there it is, right through 12. Literally looked like it was testing it while I was watching it. Popped right through there. Oh my God. Oh my God. Big move higher here, UPXI. Good stuff there. Again, I got no problem just kind of watching this. I don't want to get chopped up by trying to chase something here. That's for sure.
It's going to halt now. So one thing that I just did, because I was looking at this to go down. Oh, it's not going to halt. I was looking at this.
You got a fake out there, yeah.
Yep. Because it was looking like a head and shoulders. I guess they just squoze those shorts right out. Now, if you draw a trend line from
what chart?
The UPXI.
No, what time frame?
Oh, sorry. The one you're on. The one you're on. So draw it from the 845 high through the 905 high, and you can see that that's exactly where we just went through on this current candle. Oh, yeah. It's very much the same thing that we were seeing with, gosh, what was that when we were trading on Thursday? But pretty much the same thing has happened with this one as it did with that one. It just this was looking like it was starting to form a more bearish pattern before we got this big breakout here over 11 over the pre-market highs.
Well, Robert, few got out with a decent gain. Really good stuff. This is how you start your Monday, Robert. Really good stuff there, my man. Nice little break through that trend. Higher we go here, UPXI. So I'd ask then, so Robert, being out with the gain here, what are you thinking for the next trade here? Pull back to a certain level, maybe another pop higher, retest of the trend. What are you thinking here to maybe trade this again? MLGO 13 on screen.
Yes, sir. MLGO, that's trying to get back over 10. We just had one move up like 5 minutes ago. It went up to 987 and pulled. 1013 is the pre-market high. This is the next attempt to try and take that out. We'll see if it happens.
Okay. MLGO. By the way, that little bounce that we were getting right there out of the open on the broader market here sold into. Boy, I am really struggling with the keyboard here today. That is not a good sign. Here's your SPY. So we did pop a little bit right out of the open. We've rolled over here. Breadth negative across the board. SPY, Dow, Qs, Russell, and Nice all in the red here. Advanced decliners, as we've been talking about here, gapped down minus 1663 right now in that advanced decliner line. Looks like we're kind of getting a reversal of what we saw on Thursday. QURE.
Yep. It's slow moving, but it's starting to put in some.
Here you go, Shamir. Where are you at? Shamir, where are you at? We broke out of the pre-market area here. This is what we were talking about when I had given you levels earlier. 1250, the downside level, the top side level, the pre-market high here. That's done. Next upside spot here, 1440 QURE.
Now, I know this wasn't really one of our favorites we were looking at, but SHFS down to its 200 EMA on the 5-minute. We might see some support here, and if we do, then we could be looking at this as a potential trade setup. But we just kind of flagging this to see if it's going to actually do it. It's not turning around yet, but just keep an eye on it for this moving around this EMA.
Real quick here, APVO, this popped right back to its VWAP there. I'm seeing a humongous trade here on NVIDIA, 3.58 million. This looks like a closing position here. These were May puts, May 108 puts. 3,280 of them for a total premium of 3.58 million. That looks to me like a closing trade here. NVIDIA getting pounded here. Now sub 98.
APVO, if this continues to move up through its VWAP, there's actually a wall, several walls of sellers here starting at 130. But if we start taking those out, it looks like it's trying to get up to that 145 to 150 area where there was resistance all morning. So that would be the area I think this could run up to. I don't know if it's going to break out, but it's trying to get up there. This is APVO.
Yep, Trout Bum is on it. Strategically optimistic, LNOKS, loose nut on keyboard syndrome. That's what I got. Diagnosed, baby. Diagnosed. That is absolutely what I got. DWTX getting mentioned here by Kathy. Good morning, Kathy. I don't know if I missed saying good morning to you earlier. I apologize. DWTX. So the big launch here was the move above the intraday high. It looks like we actually did that in the pre-market earlier. I'd be selling into this move here. No position for me on this, but I'd actually be booking some gains here. See if we get another setup here around 5 3/4, 575 on a pullback. 512 is going to be your 15 EMA on the 5. That would be the next level down if it loses that VWAP.
EVGN has been getting some support from its 65 EMA since it dropped down there in the pre-market. Now it's trying to recover and get through this consolidation in the pre-market on its way up to VWAP. We'll see if this one ends up getting having anything come out of this, but trying to turn around right now, EVGN. UPXI got as high as 1395. Starting to put in some upper shadows here. I'll have to be careful with that, but it could just be setting up to go higher. So keep an eye on UPXI as well. MLGO with a massive pop through the
also seeing call buying here on MLGO.
Let's draw another trend line like we just did with that last one.
I see it. I see it forming. Do you want to wait for this last candle to form here, or are we done?
No, we've already printed that, so I think that counts. I mean, I would look at the 445 high.
It's going to halt right here at 1058 if it holds.
Just draw the trend line from that 444 high to the 735 high, and you'll see that goes right through where we just blasted off to in MLGO. So this is going to be the resistance trend line. If we start trading above this, we could end up with even higher. These crazy high prints we've been seeing with MLGO previously. Looking back at some of these other ones, let's see here. QURE high is now 1380, trying to go higher. The pre-market highs from Friday was 1440. We're less than $1 away. Whew. Okay, now I can take a breath. That's fun.
Netflix, by the way, pulled off that opening stick higher, but so far it's holding in here. Fat N, was this? Yeah, that's today. So Fat N, that was one of the recent IPOs. Wow, I actually missed this on Thursday. I wasn't looking at this huge move here. We are pulling back here on Fat N. Maybe this finds a little bit more of a bounce spot here, 875-ish. We'll see. Fat N halted, I believe. Yep, halted here to the downside.
So Bitcoin having some kind of an issue getting up above 87,000.
I actually wanted to look at that chart. Someone brought up Bitcoin earlier, so I'm glad you're mentioning this, 13.
Yeah, this had a nice move up over Easter, and then it's kind of just been sideways ever since with a high of 87,812. Much of the consolidation is going to be right, in the middle of that 87,000 handle. Do you have something you want to add to this?
Yeah, well, basically, I just wanted to rope the viewer into this. Let me see if I can find it. I think that they basically just said that the trend was broken, but I don't want to put words in his mouth, and I also want to make sure I get it correct.
I'm wondering if they're referring to the downtrend that we were in since the beginning of the year when we hit the all-time highs, and we've been kind of going down. And now that we've had this sideways action for, looks like we've had some lower prints, but it's been mostly sideways. It looks like it's it may have found a bottom. And interestingly, we were also kind of calling for the highs from, what is this? Back in March of 2024 as being a support area, and kind of got that earlier this month. We're recapturing the 65 EMA, something we have not done. We have not closed above the 65 EMA on the daily chart since February 20th, I think. So I think that what he's getting at with the break of trend, I think that's true.
Yeah, well, the break of trend that I was looking at were the two trend lines that we had, right? So we bounced up. They almost form a parallel channel, although not quite. This top trend line is actually compressing on the bottom one. We bounced off the bottom trend line, but he's right. We did actually take this trend out. And actually, let me extend this real quick, just so we can make that a little bit easier to see. This is where we had it. All right, so we did kind of consolidate above. We're actually still in this support area. So while I agree, we did take that trend out, or we did kind of reverse that trend, I really think for us to start a new uptrend towards some of these highs, we're really going to need to clear out this area. And this is going to be from like 85 to 90K. And I just don't see that yet. We're actually right beneath the 200-day moving average here, 88,200.
For me, I think the big area of resistance that we're going to experience when this with Bitcoin moving to the upside is where it was getting a lot of support previously. That looks like it's going to be about somewhere between 93 and 93,500 is where a lot of that support was coming from.
It's right in here, yeah.
Yeah, ever since we came up to these heights and we're starting to print, $100,000 per coin. Every time it came back in, it would find support in that area that I just mentioned. So I think once we do get back up there, I would expect some pretty significant resistance there. If it, before it actually gets back up there, I think we could see some, it could get rejected. Before we move through it. So we'll see.
Okay. We'll see
and
what we
folks are mentioning Winnie, WIMI.
Yeah, but I was trying to get back to that here. Let me add the watermark back. I don't see it on the scanner, but let me bring it up here real quick.
It's halted. It is halted. I see a trend that was just broken using the high from Thursday and the high from pre-market on Friday. We just broke through that trend. So we broke through it in the pre-market. So 550 looks like that's going to be the next resistance area for WIMI when we come out of the halt. You have this consolidation on Thursday. I'm sorry. We had Friday close, so this is Wednesday and Thursday. I'm sorry, I had got my days mixed up. This consolidation from Wednesday, right at about just above 550, going as high as 620. That consolidation in there, that's going to be another resistance area. So you have two on the way up. And then you have the high from Wednesday, which is 726.
MLGO opened and tried to pop higher here, although it is pulling off of some of those highs on MLGO. Big B's mentioning that UNH is setting up for another leg lower here. Yes, it is. We are breaking that. Man, oh man, 441 here. So we did break that other level. Looks like, yep, we're coming right up here, 440. Big support level right here on UNH. We'll see if that holds or if it fails. Good stuff, Big B's.
How about 430? I like that level.
430 is going to be right in here. That was a previous resistance area, then back tested as support.
Yeah, so humor me here a little bit. Do a horizontal line at 430, okay? And then on June 13th of 2022, draw a trend line from there through the low. These are lows, by the way. The low.
Right, what was the date? I'm sorry,
June 13th, 2022. There you go. That one there. What you said?
Right here? Yeah. Okay.
Draw it through the low of April 8th, 2024, and then extend it.
Yep. So here.
So right about there, we could get some support that's maybe even sees a reversal. Can't say for sure what's going to happen there, but that's an interesting area right there for me. That 430, it's the bottom of the broadening wedge. You got support back from 2021 at those prices in August. That'd be the area I'd be looking at.
Okay. MLGO halted to the downside. Boy, things really happen fast, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
You blink and you might miss it here. MLGO, my goodness.
QURE still moving higher despite its very low volume. It's coming up to the highs from, what day was this?
This was the next target Thursday that we just talked about, 440 on that.
Yep, 1440. Yep, that's coming up to there. Yes, sir. All right, so let's take a look at some of these other ones. Looks like Gulf Resources didn't do much after that pop out the gate. SBF, no, we didn't look at that one. I don't think. No, SBFM, we did look at that one. Sunshine Biopharma, that one just went down.
SBFM?
Yeah, Sunshine Biopharma, that rejections from the VWAP kind of told you where it's going. Lost the 65 EMA. We were hoping for some support, didn't get that. Now we're down to the 200, where it's actually giving us support for now, but volume isn't great. there's better things to trade, I think. MLGO, folks were just mentioning, halted down after that big pull. 1126 was the high. Where are we looking at?
SPY
here?
Rolling over here too. Some more new lows here on the SPY.
So we didn't quite get to that consolidation in MLGO that we were talking about. We were looking at 1150. We were 24 cents short. So got to tighten that up. Sorry, guys.
Ed Wynn here asking, was Friday's news on MP good or bad for the stock in the short term? So I think that news that you're talking about is not selling. Yeah. MP Materials ceased, and this was on Thursday because Friday the market was closed. MP Materials ceased shipments of rare earth concentrate to China. I would say that the market is telling you here in the near term that it is bad because it's losing a customer there. But I would imagine in the long term, this probably is not going to be bad. You got a take on that, 13? Ticker MP?
My understanding, and I don't know if I'm correct about this, but my understanding with when they were shipping their rare earths to China was not to sell it to them for use, but to have them refine it there and then it gets sent back to us. So because we don't have the refining capacity that China does for rare earths, we have a mine, operational mine, and I think this one's it. And I might be wrong about that, but this company not sending its rare earths to China for ore processing, it's going to send it to somewhere else. So it might seem bad, but it just depends on how much it's going to cost to have it refined elsewhere versus China. So that's going to be the big headwind for it, I believe.
Okay.
But I don't know how long that's going to last because India is ramping up ore refinement. We already have ore refinement here in the U.S., just nowhere near the capacity that China does right now. But I think it's going to be just a short-term headwind. I don't know how long it's going to last, but rare earth ore processing is ramping up in other countries.
Okay. UPXI, we're still holding above the trend line here. Big shout out again to Izzy, who I know, Ed, you're mentioning here that Amazon is selling off here. Amazon shares trading lower. Raymond James downgrading the stock from strong buy to outperform and lowering its price target from 275 to 195. The stock's currently down here at 168. Shout out to you, Izzy. I know that you trade Amazon every day. You had said earlier here that you're not buying this until this really kind of stabilizes, and it hasn't done that yet. We're still seeing some weakness. That was a good early call out there on Amazon. Let us know if you do end up buying this here. AMZN. Next level down here, think probably this 162. We're only 5 points away from that on Amazon. Good morning, Chris. Great to see you.
Wow, CA4 has been short Disney from 83. Is that where it's at right now? Did it really fall that far? Wow, I didn't realize that Disney had this much of a.
It was actually printed 82 last week.
That's crazy. You stop looking at this thing for a week and it does this. Holy cow. Okay, so we're going to death cross in this one again. But with this oscillation, I've said before, when we oscillate like this in short periods of time, I tend to not lean so heavily on it. Still, I mean, Disney's got a ton of issues, and they haven't seemingly given up the all the woke content, so that's going to hurt them. This is looking bearish. I can't really say for sure where this goes, but we're getting pretty close to start printing some pandemic lows, and after that, we're looking at prices not seen since 2014.
Okay. All right, what else we got here? What else do we got here? I got a lot of trend lines drawn on all these charts. DWTX, this is continuing to trade higher here. Looks like a 7 snap. Boy, I didn't have this one on my bingo card. Thought this would pull back. Dogwood.
MLG is open and lower.
This retraced that entire move up to the trend line, 13. The entire move, totally retraced. J here, INMN. This is one of the stocks. IMN. God, I hate this ticker so much. Jay, pick an easier ticker to remember here, for heaven's sake. IMNM. Nice move from the 5 level, another name with insider buying. So is that one of the things that you're kind of looking at for some of your long side swings here? You're right, that insider buying, that looks like that started in November of last year, but earlier this year here in March. They actually, the stock is at the same level pretty much where these folks were buying. I know some of them bought in the 7s. Stock's pretty much at the same spot there. Here's your daily chart on IMNM. My God, I am going to screw that up so many times. Think there's more legs on this, Jay? Let us know.
Yeah, I'm gotta be a little bit surprised because when we talk biotechs not holding these, this is one that carries that kind of risk. So I guess when with Jay, he said he's holding these.
I'm assuming. Okay. I don't know. He didn't say that. He was just saying that it was a nice move from the low 5 level when the insider buying was flagged. I believe on this show, Jay. I think I remember you talking about insider buying on this.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Got a lot of cash. Loses quite a bit of it too. Do they
518 now on the SPY? Yep.
Jay, tell me, is something in their pipeline about to change this company forever? Is it Veragastat? Let me know.
Nice job with the drug name, by the way.
Trying, man.
No, look, I'm impressed. I'm impressed that you even tried. By the way, Amazon sell-off continuing here, 167 now. Low print there, 167.21. Palo Alto continuing to come in as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that. He's in this long term. He's thinking 20.
Okay.
David Prince likes it.
Okay. I'll tell you what, the T3 guys are all very sharp. You could have said David, Adam, Scott, Christian. I mean, they're all sharp.
All right, back to some of these. We were getting asked about the TQQQ. Let's see how we're not very extended away from the VWAP.
I was just going to say, yep, that's exactly it. I'm still watching this, folks. Even if I don't talk about it, I'm still watching this. We're 50 cents away from the VWAP here. I'd like to see that more extended from the VWAP. $1.50, frankly, would be ideal for the TQQQ, and then for the SQQQ, you're looking more at like $1.15. We're only 40 cents away from the VWAP here. Definitely going to be watching these. No question about it.
With the SPY, though, we opened, I think, just beneath that 15% correction level. Let me see here. Our open was...
we did. And now, actually, we're still beneath it because we rolled over a little bit here as well.
Next area of support that I have are going to be 515.50 and 512.
I love this. Jay Rice here saying the guy who owns it, the IMNM, smart, sold his last bio name to SGen for over $2 billion. Clarence at the exact same time saying David Prince loves the CEO's track record. Okay. Sure seems like that. CEO knows how to get it done. That's good stuff there. I know that we've talked about this with David before. I'm not sure we've really kind of dove into it, though. Really good stuff there. This chart actually looks great. IMNM.
MLGO got some support from VWAP trying to push back up. So keep an eye on that one if you're still trading.
Still beneath the trend that we're looking for here.
UPX, it's not breaking down. It's still kind of riding up on this 9 EMA. So we haven't gotten a breakdown of this one yet, but when I look at the MACD, I'm a little nervous that we could see it roll over here. So just be careful with UPX at this stage. It looks like it's been getting a little extended, but hey, this thing has got a low enough float to where this could push up even higher. Looks like MLG.
Just a quick look here. Don't really see a whole lot of anything. Advancers to decliners still holding at this pretty much the same level there. SPY at the lows, NASDAQ at the lows, Dow at the lows here. So the SPY short's working here.
Looks like we're getting some weakness in Bitcoin
DWTX
right
is open. Sorry, 13. I didn't mean to run you over there. DWTX is open. New highs here. You were mentioning Bitcoin weakness. We did pull off that level.
Yep.
87K level. VIX here holding pretty steadily above 30. I know we kind of looked like on Thursday that we were going to test 30 to the downside. Holding here at 32.90. Actually looks like this might tick up again.
Kathy Austin mentioning AUUD. This is Audia, and it's halted to the upside right now. Be careful. This move that we got here is not on a high amount of volume.
Yeah, and we got no news on this too. I feel like several folks have brought up AUUD before.
I have levels at six. We do have a high back on the 4th, which was 560. So we were right beneath that. But beyond that, I have levels at 6 and 650 as the next upside targets. Everything else is beneath where we're at right now. So yeah, and this low volume move, I'd be very careful with. The free float is 500,000 shares, so this thing could absolutely move. But being that we just had this halt on less than 80,000 share impulse move, I think I'd want to be a little bit careful with this before I decide to take a stake in it. MLGO popped into that trend line, and now it's pulling back a little bit. No open trades right now.
Give me one sec here.
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking around, seeing what's looking good, and just a lot of things that give me a bunch of big question marks. Not sure about what I want to take a stab at right now. Everything looks like it's kind of in a little bit of a weak stage. Steve Cohen filed a 13D on INMN a while back. You know what? I'll take a look and see if we have any sellers, because wouldn't he be like one of those? Actually, it should be IMNM. There we go. We should see insider transactions if he was one of them, shouldn't we? Wouldn't he be a 10% owner at that stage? Let me know.
Sorry, finishing up there. I am seeing some put buying here, so it looks like the option SPY continuing to move down here. 517 now, where that SPY short is starting to appreciate there. Goody up. I'm also seeing some more put buying kind of following this move down here. Tesla, Apple, PanW. Saw some in NVIDIA earlier. Yep, here's one in NVIDIA. Looks like Palantir was getting some call buying. Palantir actually popped initially. It's come back and gone green-red.
UPXI is trying to do something, either go higher or it might end up starting its roll over here.
This one, don't we really want just kind of a shakeout to the VWAP on this? I feel like this might trade a lot better if it was pulling.
Yeah, maybe. $5% on Cone. Okay, so he wouldn't show up on the insiders. Then I don't.
Amazon continuing to sell off here. Netflix giving up that entire pop. Costco rolling over a little bit here.
It looks like they're going to lock down UPXI now. There's a big seller that just came in here.
There was someone that gave a stat earlier that the market is red the week after the Pope passes away, 83% of the time. I have no idea if that's accurate or not, or what have you, but something else to keep in mind here as we continue to pull down. Okay. It is actually it's past 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock on a Monday. It is that time again. Let's see what Matt Maley has in store for us. Let's go ahead and bring him on. Matt, good morning. Happy Monday. Hope your Easter and your holiday weekend were great.
They were great. And then here in Boston, or the Boston area, Massachusetts, actually in Maine as well, it is Patriots Day. So the schools are closed. Actually, it's a holiday week, but a lot of things are closed today in this city. They run the Boston Marathon.
That's right.
And the Boston Red Sox play at 11 o'clock in the morning, so that their game is over, just so people can go out and watch the end of the race, which goes right by Fenway Park. Goes right by Fenway Park in the last 2 miles.
Two questions real quick. Number one, what's your best time in the Boston Marathon?
I only ran it once, and we're not going to talk about that, but I did finish.
Okay, so I actually didn't even know that you ran it. That's fantastic. I don't think I could survive a marathon.
I ran it on the 100th anniversary. There were and of course I was at the back, and I actually ran track because I was a sprinter, not a distance runner. But it was funny because you had to qualify to be up towards the front. I just went in. I did it for the Leukemia Foundation, so I was in the back. And there were so many people running. It took me a half an hour to get to the starting line.
Oh my God! So after the race started, you were.
I was just
wow.
I basically walked for half an hour, and then when we got to the starting line, I began to run, and I did run the whole way, and it was a good time.
Good for you. You're inspiring me to maybe try a marathon just to say I've done it. Really good stuff there. And then you had also talked a little bit about do you expect to see any lighter volumes in the afternoon with some of the stuff going on Monday? Like we see
not today, because it's for the money man. There are a lot of money managers here, but they all come into work, I think, on this day.
Okay.
Especially with what's going on in the marketplace, there'll be plenty going on. So
and we're going to talk about that, but I got one more non-market question. Who do you think the Patriots are going to pick up this week? Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter? What do you think?
Well, Hunter would be it would be great. If either way, I mean, the one thing we do have to understand is that one of the things I see the market continues to drop here, but one of the things that we want to bring these things together is a lot of people don't understand that the maybe the most important, not maybe, the most important thing to figure out about what's going on in the marketplace is how the Boston sports teams are doing and the New York sports teams are doing. We have the Mets and the Yankees both in first place in their divisions. That is the real reason why the market is going down. Everybody should be betting, rooting against those two teams so that the Red Sox can make a comeback. But we still have the Celtics, so maybe that can help things out.
Celtics look pretty strong. Okay, that's good stuff there. Matt, the market is moving down here. Looking at the SPY here, we were weaker in the pre-market. We're actually falling right now. We're still holding above the 200 so far, but we'll see if that 510 level gets tested here. What do you think's going on? What's your outlook here? Of course, we've got a lot of pretty big earnings this week, including Tesla and Google. What's your outlook with what's going on right now with the market?
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing that I've been saying for a long time that it's not just a tariff issue, and I still strongly believe that, and that's why this whole earnings season is going to be really, really important. The thing is, though, is that the tariff issue is obviously out there. Then you got Trump going after Powell, and that just doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, it seems to me like he's doing that because he wants to deflect blame for the decline in the stock market and say, boy, if the Fed was doing more, the market would be fine. Whatever the reason is, that's not helping things. If you lose any kind of standing with the Fed being an independent, any kind of problems with the independence of the Federal Reserve, that is going to take away a lot of confidence that is in U.S. assets. I'm not worried about the dollar losing its status completely, but there is losing some confidence here. The dollar's going down. That's not good, of course. And so have we reached a crisis of confidence? I don't think we're quite there yet, but it's not helping the situation. Then you take that and you put on top of it this whole thing with the earnings. What's going to happen with earnings going forward? The earnings are going to beat. We always know they're going to beat their estimates. But what are the forecasts going to be? And if earnings estimates have to come down, that's a big problem.
Okay, and if those stocks, it'd be interesting to see if any of those stocks end up not trading poorly despite a subpar earnings report. That kind of makes me wonder if the bottom is in for some of those names. Do you have any strong feelings on any individual names right now? Are you playing anything here for earnings this week?
Well, I mean, one of the things, of course, Tesla's going to happen tomorrow after the close. There's talk about what one of the analysts said, it's do or die or something like that, or red warning flags or whatever. I don't know. But the real reason the stock is down today is because over the weekend, they once again delayed their the rollout of their more affordable cars. And remember we saw last year when they delayed their rollout of the the driverless taxis. That hurt the stock. So that's the real reason the stock's getting hit. There's this. We got to sit there and hold this low. We see here. What's it about 180. I'm sorry, 2. I'd have to look at the stock. I can't have the chart up, but there we are.
It's 224 right now.
Right. Yes. You see where those lows were earlier in the year. It's around the 218 level, if I remember correctly.
218 is exactly right.
Yeah. You break below that, we got big problems. Again, I say big problems, but we have, the stock's going to hit lower because that's been, you see, it's kind of forming a descending triangle pattern. You go break below 218, that's going to be a big problem. Now, it's, a lot of people are hoping Musk will say, hey, I'm walking away from Doge, I'm re-engaging. That's something that would certainly help the stock on a near-term basis. But again, the fundamental backdrop is still not good. EV sales are down, and now they're delaying their more affordable car. We don't know for how long. So I worry about this stock breaking below that key level. Later in the week, we get Google, and then of course next week we get even some more names. Amazon was downgraded today. Some of these, I guess my point is, some of these stocks. Tesla's been a problem for since the beginning of the year, but some of the Amazon, Google, some of the Meta, and some of these stocks that people have been saying, yeah, but they're the best ones. They should be doing okay. Well, guess what? They're breaking down. I mean, Meta is trading. It's already broken below its April lows. I mean, everybody's saying, oh my gosh, the lows are in. Well, Meta, which everybody was saying was the best stock in the bunch, is breaking below those lows, only slightly, but this is a concern. So again, my point is that consensus was looking for 14 to 15% earnings growth for 2025. In 3 months, it's already dropped. It's already been cut in half. Now they're looking to 6 or 7%, and that is the official number. I mean, a lot of people are holding off, saying, "Well, I'm not going to lower my numbers until I hear they're going to be lower." Goldman Sachs is going to be right, and they may even be high at 3% growth of earnings for the year. If that's the case, the stock market is going to have to trade down below its April lows before this thing bottoms out. I'm not trying to yell fire as the market's going, fire in a crowded theater as the market's going down here. Things could turn around if Trump eases off, or if we get some significant agreements with some of our trading partners. That could happen at any time. But the overall backdrop is still one. I mean, look, I hate to ramble on here, but the one thing, look what happened with United last week. United Airlines came out and said, they gave 2 earnings out. One if we have a recession and one if we don't. But the one if we don't outlook was unchanged from what they gave in January. Wait a minute, you're trying to tell me? I mean, first of all, you're cutting back on the number of flights you're going to have, starting this summer, right? So how could you keep with your January outlook? Your January outlook was before the president took office, before we knew that any of these tariffs were going to be as aggressive as they were, before the economy started seeing a further slowdown. How could you keep? I mean, my point is that, what they're trying to do is have it both ways. It's like there's no way. If the tariff issue subsides, if we avoid a recession, their earnings are still going to be low. You can't go with their old guidance. It'd be one thing if they said, hey, we go into recession really bad, fine. But even if we don't go into recession, it's going to be worse. They didn't do that. That's what a lot of companies, and nobody believes that's what's going to happen. Everybody knows that these numbers are going to have to come down. So the overall backdrop is still a sluggish one. If we get, at some point, Trump's going to either cave or we're going to get something from our trading partners, the market's going to see a big bounce. And then a month or two later, we're going to realize that we still have a slower economy, that we still have earnings that are coming down. And therefore, the market's going to be, a while before we see the ultimate bottom, or more importantly, it's going to be a while before we see a big rally in the market. I think that's going to be coming later this year rather than sooner.
Okay, so that's actually a really good way to kind of summarize it. So in the meantime, then, are you basically looking for kind of short tactical trades, maybe to the downside, maybe protecting some of your longer term positions?
Right, exactly. I mean, we bought some SQQQ calls last week. I mean, and we've owned them for a couple of weeks now. We doubled our money last week. We just made another trade today that doubled our money. Again, everybody, we want to check out the chat room to please check with Rodrigo. But the real thing is here, we're doing more short and tactical things. And it's going to be interesting because tomorrow on our regular Tuesday meeting, we're going to talk about some of the strategies we can use for the stocks that we want to buy on a longer term basis. We're going to buy them gradually, and we'll talk about that. But the point is, awesome. Yes, I will be looking as stocks become cheap. What we did during the bear market of 2022, in the summer of 2022, we started nibbling on some of these names. And because there's no way to know the exact bottom. Sure. And we even said, hey, we're going to nibble on some here, even though we think it's going lower. And Meta was one of the plays we did. We think it's going lower, but we don't know whether. So let's just buy it a little bit here, we'll buy a little bit next month, and we went through a strategy that way. Well, I just don't think we're quite there yet. I still think we got to get through this earnings season to really let things bottom out, and then we'll start nibbling at certain areas. But right now, we want to keep it tactical, short-term plays. But we will play for some bounces along the way. Yeah. But it's a time to stay very, very nimble.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been saying that here too. You've done a great job with it there in your service. I went ahead and threw a link there. You actually have a short trial for that as well. So good stuff there. 13, you got anything for Matt before we let him go for the rest of Patriot Day here?
Yeah, just a couple of questions. You had brought up Meta, and one of the things that was unfolding with this company is that it was revealed by some former employees that they were helping China with their AI and a number of other things related to the internet. So kind of wondering if we're going to continue to see some fallout from that with Meta. I do expect that we're going to see a death process this thing with it at some point. But if this news turns out to be true, like how much further do you think Meta could fall from that? That's number one. And then the other question I had was regarding gold. I've been aiming at 3,500 as a potential area where we could see a pullback from this exuberant run it's been on. Just wanted to get your thoughts on where we might see some weakness in gold, or maybe start to see that pull back from its crazy rally.
Yeah, I mean, well, two things. Yeah, first of all, Meta, that's the thing. You know, if they're starting to work with China a little bit more, then they're going to get I mean, let's face it, they're going through this trial right now. Mm-hmm. That's not helping their situation. And you think they're going to get any help from the Trump administration if they find out that they're working with China? So I think your points, 13, are spot on. And I think the thing is too is that breaking that April low, again, it's only a mild break yet. If it becomes obvious or evident that it's going to become a more significant one, we could have a lot of people who've been saying that's the one stock we like. They're going to say, boom, I'm out. So I think the downside could be at least 10% or more from here. Now for gold, I do need to point out, is that you look at the RSI charts, the relative strength index. It's overbought on its on its daily chart, its weekly chart, and its monthly chart. It's really getting overbought. Now, and the one thing is I love gold on a long-term basis. We're 34.25. You could easily get to 3,500. And so I just think at some point soon, I'm not going to be saying people should sell gold. What I am saying is we'll make a few bets to hedge it a little bit. In other words, maybe buy puts in the GLD or maybe the GDX. But that's something we're going to be talking about quite a bit. Because whenever you get these big runs in any asset, but especially gold, it's turning almost parabolic. When you finally do get the pullback, it tends to be a sharp one. So
internet hiccup. I think we're good.
I know. I was just waiting for the reveal.
Think we're good. No, you're back. It was just temporary. We figured it out. You're back.
Yeah. So just to finish, don't be afraid to maybe throw a few hedges there, short-term hedges. And we'll be talking about that in our chat room quite a bit in the coming weeks. But there'll be some times that maybe you want to buy some short-term puts. When I say short-term, week or two out, just to or maybe even longer than that, a couple of weeks out, because I do worry that a pullback will be sharp, and the thing is, those for longer term players, that won't really matter. I think holding on to your long term positions in gold will still work out. But like anything else, remember what happened with Nvidia when it went through its historic run? It saw 4, almost 5 actually pullbacks at 20% or more, and so. Stock, but you bought some puts and made some money there too. So that's
okay.
Thanks, Matt.
Yep. Thank you very much. Really good stuff, Matt. Appreciate the extra time here today. Again, folks, Matt's been absolutely killing it. Check out his chat room if you need some help. A lot of stuff on there. Matt, great stuff here today. Have a great rest of your week. Enjoy the rest of Patriot Day, and we'll follow up with you after the draft. I can't wait for Thursday.
Sounds great, guys. We'll see you next week.
That is Matt Maley. We will talk to him next week. Really good stuff. He's absolutely killing it as always here. Really good market breakdown on that as well. All right, 13. Real good stuff. Looks like UPXI still.
Yep. Look at that trend line.
Look at that.
Yeah, so this one we were talking about this probably being the a good one today. So
BRB, one sec. I'm going to leave the chart up.
No problem. Other ones that have been going well, we were talking with Matt. Chat's been all over. We've been seeing SHFS start its recovery, moving its way through some of these moving averages, the exponential ones. 65 EMA was the first one to get through, followed by the VWAP. Now we're looking at the VWAP for some support here. QURE, this thing is just slowly making its way higher. Just put in another new high of 1481. Hasn't slowed down yet. It did have one red candle, but it said, watch me go higher. And sure enough, it did. Other than that, we have, let's see, SBFM. That's kind of going sideways. NLGO came back in. UPXI now printing 1870. There was another one here that we were looking at. Let me see if I can find it. Bear with me 1 second, because we were looking at several of these. It wasn't AREB. That's gonna drive me nuts trying to find it. It might have been DWTX, but and then there was RSLS. I haven't looked at that one yet today. Let's take a look at that and see what we got. That's up 32%. Patent notice of allowance for the USPTO is why Reshape Life Sciences is moving. This is a penny stock.
RSLS.
That's right. The other one that we were looking at that is not having so much of a good time. It was before, but not anymore. AUUD, that went right up to our 650 level and turned around and broad-sorted. So this thing has taken multiple legs down.
Wow.
Right back down to where the consolidation bottom was from Thursday. And it's halted right now. $4 is the current price where it was halted at. Going to want to see some recovery here. Don't know what we're going to get out of AUUD.
Bitcoin here really kind of reversed. That's at the highs here for the morning, 88,000 on Bitcoin. VIX continuing to climb here too. We just popped above. Bitcoin is ripping right now on volume, by the way. Multiple new highs set just in that last 20 seconds there. VIX here also trading higher, holding here about 33.5 there on the VIX.
All right, go Bitcoin. IBIT looking good. And UPXI. We weren't kidding when we thought this was going to trade well. This thing has been awesome.
Let me bring that up here. Sorry, looking at the rest of the stuff here. Short paying off, thankfully. Good to be hedged here today. UPXI didn't take any trade on this. I was waiting for a pullback. Never got it. Never got it. All right, what else we got going on out there?
I don't have any predictions about where UPXI goes at this stage, but I could try to look and see if there's going to be some stupid levels. Who wants some stupid levels?
I think they all want the stupid levels, 13. Let's get them. Let's get them. Well,
okay.
Do you have them handy, or should I look around while we're doing that?
Oh my God, if it really does this, to be funny. 50 is the stupid level I have. That is right about where the 200 EMA is on the weekly chart. We also have a low of 5060 we printed during the week of the first week of January 2023.
Okay. I'm sorry, man. I tried that. That was
okay.
I tried to follow along. I couldn't get a single one of those levels added here.
No
Here's your.
How about this? We'll do 3430.
I thought you said 50.
Right, I did. We'll do 3430 and we'll do 50 because 3430 could be a level, but I don't know. I mean, it could call it stupid if you want, but it's just another level that I see between where the really dumb one and where we're at right now. So let's do 34. What did I say? 34.30. Let's do 34.30 and $50, and we'll just leave it at that and see. Make a wish and see what happens.
Here, make a wish and see what happens. Here you go. Here's your daily chart. You can see where you're getting those numbers from. That 34.30. I think that is.
Oh my God! It's going to go to 20. It's already making its way there, guys.
It is ripping here. You know what else I'm going to do? I'm actually going to pull this up in one of my other windows here so I can be set to trade if necessary, but I can also keep an eye on that level 2 here for you. 1972, the high print there. This still has a bunch of buying going on right now. Spread is kind of wild there. Here's MLG. Man, I'll tell you what, this action's too fast for me to even keep track of.
hey, you know what? You're not losing any money trying to trade these. That's a positive. Because there are some times when you're looking at these and you're like, oh, this looks like a good spot. And you get in because it's like, showing you that it could go higher, even though it's volatile. And then it just knifes. Taking the cautious approach during times like this, I think is the better way to go. I haven't traded much. I've had 3 trades today. I'm not trading much. I may end up just going right to the directional ETFs after this. I don't want to lose.
And actually, TQQQ. So now that you're mentioning that, let's check in on that. TQQQ might be setting up here as this continues to move away from the VWAP. All right, we're at $1.10 now. I'd like to see a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me bring up TQQQ in a different window here so I can be prepared for that.
And Mike with a good point. It's at this point, it's best to wait for a setup you like. Sit on your hands till then.
Absolutely. You've been seeing me do more of that. Less is more, didn't we? We've had a number of folks say that less is more recently.
SPFM, Sunshine Biopharma, the chat brought this up. This is has a
UPXI pulling, by the way. All right, SPFM.
This is coming back up to its VWAP. Volume's not the greatest right now, but it might pick up. I'm just kind of flagging this because we're seeing some good movement out of here. If we get a MACD cross, and that could interest some more buyers to come in here. So we'll see if we end up getting that. But SPFM is starting to turn up here. MLGO right back up to that trend line, getting some resistance. But this thing, it could do whatever it wants. We saw how this thing would this rip like up to the 40s at some point earlier this year. Could do the same thing again. So just be prepared for it to come in, to go both ways. UPXI printed 20 exactly. And now it's
and then pulled off. Yeah. Robert here is asking, so it printed 20 and is it done yet? That's a good question here. It did pull off that spot. I guess it's breaking down a little bit here, but here's your chart. If this really kind of comes back in, Robert, I think we probably want to wait out the trend line there, but it might have another run at the highs here. I wouldn't play that. I think that the easier money has already been made here on this one. I'd rather, again, still wait for a pullback here.
Let's take a look and see where we're trading with the Qs. Did you have something else you need to bring up?
No, I'm struggling here today. Mike's asking, Ryan 13, do you see the Qs rotation is now in effect? Sorry, Mike. Are
you talking about rotating out of Qs and into different names, or rotating into different names within the Qs?
Because I've definitely seen the rotation out of some of those tech names. That's been a multiple week-long thing. Yes. Let me know what you're asking for there. By the way, UPXI no longer breaking down. Reclaimed 18 might be trying to go back for those highs. No position here. I don't think this is done yet. Just a gut feeling here, by the way.
And it might not be.
Starting to bounce. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say just with UPXI, it might not be done. It certainly might not be. And yes, it does look like TQQQ is starting to search out a bottom.
Yeah, I didn't add any yet there, so I'm actually not in for this bounce. We'll see if this turns around. Mike's asking, out of the Qs. Yes, we've seen that.
Multiple downgrades. Okay, so yeah, and then so we could continue to see some more hammering. I mean, the Qs, the low is down at 102.39. That was from April 7th. Could see that price as early as this week, but more likely sometime later this month.
And Bitcoin ripping still. Bitcoin completely decoupling from the market right now. Bitcoin just raging 88.5 on the futures chart as that continues to print new highs here. Where's Jamie Dimon? Jay Dimon, you out there? Where are you at? What's going on with Bitcoin? Why is it going up when the market is falling apart?
Oh,
MicroStrategy up 2.8% here. Actually, watch these highs here. 330, your pre-market high here. MicroStrategy.
So two things. Webcoin, great job on your trade. I mean, you missed out, but hey, look, you had a great trade and it worked. Hey, either way, good job on making the fistful of dollars. Craig Miller, Dollar General at 95. What's interesting about this is that this is all the way back up to that trend line that we drew. And we tested it once on April 4th. That was a Friday. We're back up to the trend line again. I want to see it getting taken out now. I want to see it start closing over this trend line. This is Don DG.
Yeah, I was just taking a look at that. MLGO halted to the upside here, 11.53 on MLGO. Here's your Dollar General. Man, I guess I should have kept a trailer on this one.
Well, I thought you were looking to restart a position. After
Yeah, I was. That's what I'm saying. I might have got out of it too early, 13, because I'm looking to restart it here. We're really not being given the better entry that I'm trying to get. Maybe I should have just stayed in a little bit longer. My target was 91, 93. We got 95 here.
Mm-hmm.
Looking pretty good.
And if we start breaking over this or closing over this trend line, we're going into hundreds. We're going over 100.
I think you're right. You know, the other thing here, I probably should have, seeing that there was a potential further point to this rally, probably should have sold and rolled some of those calls, honestly, into a higher strike and then maintained exposure and booked that way. Could have done that with the last batch that I did too. Nuts.
Crow is thank you, Mike. Crow is mentioning that SHFS any moment that's going to take. I believe you're talking about the next leg up. We have some EMAs that are about to cross the VWAP. That's usually a bullish.
430 is the trigger on that, by the way.
Yeah, so this one does look like it could get going again. The pre-market high is 511, and we're at 421, which is also the date today. Dollar Tree, big insider buying, says Jay Rice. UNH, Bigabee saying.
What were those, though? That was recent, right? That Dollar Tree buying?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that was the CFO. And that was last week. That was Wednesday last week, right? The 16th. Yeah, that was Wednesday last week. That was the recent one. The one before that was from early April. And what's he? Just a director? Yeah. So the CFO and another director, recent insider buys there. We did have the chief accounting officer, the CAO, sold about 22% of his share. I think the buying stuff kind of outweighs that. Here's your daily chart on Dollar Tree. We actually have a potential, I think 85 might be your next spot here on Dollar Tree. It's got to continue, though. Ticker DLTR.
Did that Aditya guy, it says down here, the last transaction that he has was when he acquired shares at $102. Usually it's like I usually see buy, grant, tax, acquisition. What is, I don't know what was going on with Dollar Tree where they issued shares or whatever the situation was, but I guess I'm a little bit curious about what that's supposed to mean, because if he was given those shares as compensation and he's selling now, or if he actually bought them, I just wanted need some more clarity on that, because if he bought them up there, he's selling at a loss. Thanks, Bigabees, for that information. Google insiders selling hand over fist. Let's take a look at.
Yeah, I can bring that up here. Sorry, I was trying to check out the Twitter streets there, but here's your Google and here's your insiders.
Okay, so there we go with one of the most recent transactions. The CEO, Sundar Pichai, selling $5 million worth of shares on the 18th.
Okay.
Good Friday, right?
Yeah, and then also in the 7th. So he had multiple sales recently.
Mm-hmm. And then you also
$10 million bucks. Maybe he's making a new house, building a new house there.
You got a lot of sellers, especially this chief accounting officer. I'm sorry, I was reading that wrong. He didn't sell it as much as some of these others. It's really just the CEO that's selling the most. But there are like multi-million-dollar sellers as well. Yeah, they are selling. And we saw this with Jensen Huang before it really started getting bad. But this is more of an acceleration for Google, it seems.
Remember, Google has earnings this week, too.
Yeah. SHFS, that losing VWAP right now. What are we looking at here, Crow? We going to get this to turn around? And then UPXI, more room to this pullback down to 1641. Let's take a look at UPXI because we are getting a pullback. Oh, yeah, we are. Yeah, I'd like to see the trend line provide support. It did before we had this big move up to 20. That's going to place it at about, just under 15, around 1485, I would think. We'll see if we get the support there. And
looking
what
around
else?
here, seeing if there's anything going on the Twitter streets. Don't really see it. At least anything new anyway. UPXI continuing to break down. We're now in a 15 handle. So Robert, sure looks like that 20 high so far. That's it. I got the VWAP down there at about $11. So we'll see if it turns around, if it gets down to 11.
Yeah, I was just mentioning I want to see some support around 1485.
1485. That's not far away. It's about $1.20 away.
This is. Are you doing UPX, right?
UPXI, yeah. Sorry, I've got it on multiple charts. Like I said, 13.
Okay.
It's not easy trying to. We're moving really fast, dude. It's not easy. I'm doing the best I can.
Oh, you're doing fine, man. I got you. Yeah, Bitcoin just hit 88,500.
Who was asking about Pfizer earlier? Pfizer not participating in the sell-off really at all here today, doing a pretty good job holding its lows here around $22. Seeing some calls get bought here, but they're kind of cheap. They're not really all that expensive.
Pfizer trading at 2012 prices. Is this not hammered enough for everybody? Is Pfizer not destroyed? Back to 13-year levels.
You don't want to ask me that question.
I know your answer. APVO. This is getting some movement over VWAP. If we get a little bit more volume expansion here, we could see some better price action here. That's AVPO. You
got to move above the VWAP right now. Watch this at 130 here.
Yep. Looks like SBFM had a rejection at VWAP. No surprise there. It's been getting that all morning. MLGO got up to almost $12. New highs for the session. Looks like UPXI trying to recover as well.
Looks like the market move down, might be trying to stabilize here. It's trying to hold on to 515. TQQQ might be turning around here as well.
Was it not, J Rice? I thought it was still a pretty good price around there. It's even more of a discount now. Next leg up on UXPI tops between 21 and 22.
Healed some of my SPXS calls, locking in some gains.
Well, STF, great job. STF, this candle, this 5-minute candle that we're in, will probably be the last red candle before it turns green and comes back up. So going to wait and see if that's what we end up getting here with this. Still looking for that test of that trend line, which is probably going to end up being higher now that we're in the next candle and we've moved over to the right some more. So maybe 15 or slightly above 15 would be the support at this stage. All right, what else do we have going on here? AUD. Wow, this thing just absolutely went right down to $3 where it's trying to finally bounce, but geez, it doesn't even look like it's finished going lower.
Oh my gosh, what a reversal. Hopefully nobody got trapped in this one. What did anything else happen on this that we missed?
I don't know.
No. Nope. The last thing that we have here is the annual report from April 9th. There's nothing else in there.
So far, the TQQQ was having a good turnaround moment.
Bouncing a little bit there. We'll see if we take another leg lower here with the market. TQQQ is still not as extended from the VWAP as I would have liked it. It's only 50 cents away right now. The IMNM, the David Prince / Jay Rice, that another high here. Tell you what, just got to be some individual names that you have to be in here today. Crow mentioning Webull, that's ticker BULL for a 30 retest here.
All right.
Webull, interesting, down from its 80 highs. So we'll see if this can turn around and get through 30 here. It's actually a fairly decent bounce. All jokes aside here, 4-point bounce already on this.
STFU, you could see this current candle behave the same way we were getting earlier today, where we instead of 3 down candles, we only get 2 before it rips. It could be happening now. I mean, you might be right, STFU. I think you are. If we do get an increase in volume here that takes us up towards 20 again.
UPXI might be trying to bounce here. This is starting to curl here. The market does look like it is kind of stopped selling off, at least for the time being here. SPY, NASDAQ, and Dow all trying to bounce right here. So I took some of the gains off that market short. We finally started to firm up. I don't know if this is over yet.
Yeah, we need a little bit more volume in that UPXI. And I still think we need to exercise caution on this. Just look at the MACD. It's been wanting to try and cross to go lower. Hasn't happened yet. Hasn't happened. The longer we delay that, the more pronounced the move down could be.
UPXI. I'm thinking that the next spot here, maybe 18. If it moves through 18, it got to take out the high there at what, 1818, 1820? What was this number exactly? 1815? So maybe that's your spot here, UPXI. It's still above the trend line that you had me draw earlier. We actually came towards that trend line, did not quite test it, and bounced from there.
That was
we want to see that hold up. Kathy's mentioning Verve. This one was moving last week.
I was looking for that test of that trend line in UPXI. Haven't got it yet.
Kathy, Verve's plus 18% here. What happened on this one? 13G, that was from last week after the market closed. That's got to be what's going on here, right? Who was this? BlackRock? Took a 7% stake. Am I getting that right here? Looks like it. Verve here up 18.3% here today.
You know, STFU, QURE does look like it's starting to begin its rollover. Look at the MACD. It's had an incredible run. It looks like it's starting to get a little weak here. Volume hasn't really dissipated yet, but it's starting to go from, parabolic to sideways. So, and maybe you're right. This does end up trading better, but for now, it looks like it's really slowed down. And we are past the 10:30, the time where seller or traders start to move away from their desks, go to late breakfast or early lunch. Volume's going to start going down, folks.
When Matt talking about Patriot Day, I could not help but ask him if we were going to see a little bit of lowered volume from the market. Doesn't sound like it, though. Doesn't sound like it.
Looks like Bitcoin.
Market is still trying to bounce here, by the way.
Yeah, it looks like Bitcoin's trying to get ready to make another new high for the day.
I'll tell you what, this Bitcoin move, what did I do? I just clicked on the wrong thing. This Bitcoin move is interesting to me, right? I mean, clearly doing the opposite of what the market is doing. Mm-hmm. Clearly. Nice ticks indeed are moving higher here. And how we did on the advanced to decliners, by the way, that's about the same. Low was minus 1833, currently sitting at minus 1762. The open was minus 16 and change, so that's about the same.
That's right, STFU. At 10:30, everybody goes away for the Monday mid-morning mimosas. All right, so MLGO.
I'll be honest with you, I can't do morning drinking at all anymore. It's just, I used to do it in college all the time, but can't do it anymore, even if it is a mimosa. 13's like, I'm not even going to touch that.
Yeah, I don't think I will. I don't think I will.
VIX did come off its high there.
It was a really fantastic turnaround in TQQQ. We haven't quite got a crossing in the MACD yet, so I don't know that this is going to follow through and recapture VWAP. We may end up just going to VWAP and then start looking weak again. But really nice, at least we'll call it a bounce in TQQQ.
Rodrigo, really good question here. What does that mean to you regarding the decoupling of Bitcoin? So one of the things that we've been talking about recently is how Bitcoin is the ultimate speculative asset. And while I still agree that that's true, the fact that we see it decoupling from market moves really kind of represents to me that it is, in fact, its own asset class. To me, it seems that if Bitcoin operates in some cases independently from what the rest of the market is doing, that's just yet another hole in the theory that Bitcoin is just this made up thing that's going to be worth zero in the future. I don't think that's true. And seeing action like I'm seeing here today helps steelman that point for me. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe I will be wrong. I'm sure someone's going to want to fight me on that. But to me, it just seems that I don't really think that this is just this nonsense thing that's going to go to zero and it doesn't mean anything. I think you could stick a fork in that.
MLGO looking for 12.
Now, Ed here saying what's interesting is that Bitcoin is going up, but Mara and Coin really aren't. So the Mara aspect, I don't think that's weird. We've seen miners trade differently than the asset itself for a long time. The asset has totally outperformed these miners. Miners actually have to spend funds in order to extract the Bitcoin. So it would make complete sense that this is not the same as the asset itself. Now, Coinbase, similar type thing, not the same as the asset itself, but this it's still different from the miners. I guess I'm surprised more to see Coinbase down here 0.5%. I have no position in Coin right now. And this would be another one that I'd like to add long term, but I'd have to really kind of think about those levels. I don't have those levels ready for you.
Yeah, Mara, Riot, Coin, MSTR, they all have costs. IBIT doesn't. It's just an asset. But all these other ones, they have these big energy demands to mine their Bitcoin. Some of them have operational overhead. Too many things in play with those names. I'd rather just have the asset. That's why I have IBIT. Let's see here. Now, what's interesting here, but what HG said, people might be moving from physical to digital gold. So that's interesting because we are seeing gold get really extended. And if that starts to go down and Bitcoin starts to go up, then it's like you're going from physical to digital. And then when the Bitcoin trades over back into gold, I guess. But that's an interesting take. And I don't disagree with it. I really don't.
Another mention here that the gene editors were popping. Ivan, good morning, Ivan. Happy Monday. I'm mentioning Eat It here. This was one. This actually did pretty well the last time we talked about this popping. CRISPR, this is going to be another one. This also popping a little bit here. Was there news that was affecting these, Ivan? Did we miss something here? By the way, that UPXI kind of flagging here might not be done. I can't recall any. Let me know if I missed something there.
Another one
crypto cards.
Another one that's moving is Telo, T-E-L-O. This is Telomere Pharmaceuticals. That one, it's
is
very
that moving
slow
right now?
Well, you said that some of these gene editing ones were moving.
Yeah.
This also had a pop, but it's
okay.
The volume's gone since the pop.
Yeah, this was on the wellness angle, right? Like
right,
longevity, wellness, that whole theme.
Right, but telomeres are parts of genes. They're the ends of genes that when they cell is it mitosis? When that occurs, it degrades the telomeres further and further, which is what is believed to be aging.
Real quickly, Izzy here mentioning 13. Have you heard of crypto cards? It's like football cards, but they're crypto cards. I have not. I'll be honest with you, though. I actually have talked to a couple of recent card collectors, or not recent, but I've talked to some card collectors recently. Mm-hmm. A number of them think that entire market is a little overheated and is likely to come back in. Some of the values of some of these cards just got too high too fast and might be coming back in a little bit. I know the news last week was Big Cat bought from Barstool Sports, bought a couple of the packs from 1986 that were still sealed for like $2,500 a pop and pulled the Jordan rookie.
Yes, STFU, you're right. And then Ryan, to your point, aren't they almost the same thing as NFTs at that stage?
What?
Like crypto cards?
Crypto cards. I think he's talking about like physical cards, though, aren't you? I mean, maybe not, though. No, you might be talking about, if that's all digital, I just lump that into the same category as NFT, and I don't really see the angle there on NFTs. Izzy's saying no. Izzy, look, we clearly don't know what you're talking about here. Link me something on Twitter so I can read about it, and then so I can actually have a more intelligent conversation with you here. because I don't know what you're referring to. James here had said all shit coins to zero except for Bitcoin. I'll be honest with you, like I don't think Ethereum's going to zero either, but the larger part of your thought there about a lot of like these shit coins, Doge, Shiba Inu, Trump coin, all of those things, I can definitely see them going to zero. When I'm talking about Bitcoin, I'm talking mostly about Bitcoin, Ethereum. I guess you could throw Ripple and Solana in there.
Digital cards. So I guess I would just don't understand the difference between what a crypto card and an NFT is. So sorry for my
that's why I said link me something, because I'd like to read about that. Cooper Flagg has announced he is going to the NBA draft.
Cycling through some of these names.
Rocket Pharmaceuticals. Was there news on this thing? This thing is a rocket.
Well, what do they do? High short interest. That's one thing I see here. 21 and a quarter of the float shorted. 6 days to cover. Late stage biopharm. I don't see any. Okay, so gene therapies. Same space, I guess. All those other ones we're doing. This is gene therapy, so probably in the same space. But this one also has high short interest, so you might see this more pronounced move as a result of that.
HG saying, I can't believe BlackRock will let Bitcoin go to zero. I don't think they will. I don't think it's going there anyway. Thank you, Izzy. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Crow on Faz, ticker FAZ, your 3X levered direction product to the downside. Ed Glinsky is smiling somewhere. Can't wait to have him on again. TQQQ right back down to the lows. That might be setting up again. Market short continuing to trade up. We'll take that.
Well, STFU, I'm glad that you have that. I'm not arguing with you whatsoever when it comes to what telomeres are. If you have a chance, though, I would love your take on what TELO means to you, because it's been one that we've been taking a closer look at when it comes to wellness and life longevity names.
And full disclosure here, because I'm with you on everything that you're saying here, 13. Full disclosure, I actually did buy a little bit of this for a long term, just kind of track it, right? So I bought some, I threw it in my portfolio. It's down, but it's not a whole lot. But I'm interested in, and I do that sometimes to force me to follow stocks. So I too, 13, am interested in the prospect here on some of these.
Yeah. So with your education, I would love to know what you think about what they've got going on here. STFU, I would appreciate it.
UPXI is cracking here. I've looked for that for its next move to be back down to the VWAP here on UPXI. It looked like it was going to try and trade sideways here, but now looks like it's starting to crack a little bit.
We got our VWAP. I'm sorry, not VWAP. We got our trend test here. Printed a little bit lower beneath it, but this is where we want to see this get support and turn around. Might need some more time, though. I still think that once the 65 EMA gets closer to the VWAP, we could see another push. Daniel is mentioning that DGXX is moving. Is this a dollar? No, this is DigiPower. What is this going on here?
Which one?
DGXX.
DGXI. I didn't even see that on my scanner here. Dyne Therapeutics. Is this also a gene editor? Ticker DYN. This is moving to the highs. Clinical stage.
No. Data center.
Neuromuscular disease company. Okay. Sorry, we might be doing two different things at the same time. Apologize.
Or is I don't know what DYN is.
That's all right. It's not.
But DGXX is a data center play. I don't know why it's moving right now, but it's moving. Let's take a look and see what we got here. 23 million shares in the float. There's no news today, but last Monday they filed for a mixed shelf of up to 250 million. So I don't know if that has any bearing on this price action we're seeing now. I don't know exactly what's going on here with this one. I don't know if this has anything to do with Bitcoin either. if they hold anything or any of that or whatever. Let's see, how long has this been on the market? 2020. This came out during the pandemic. Looks like.
DGXX 250 million mixed shelf.
Yeah, that was from last. That was from last Monday.
Okay. Yep.
So other than that, I don't know why this is going, but we might be getting some news if this is moving from insiders. Anyway, market's still going lower.
Market is indeed going lower here. Glad we held on to that market short.
Yep. Let's see here. I didn't scroll down enough. Yeah, next shelf. First trade of the day was a 30-cent trade in DGXX. Well done, Daniel.
Way to be patient and not make, at least your first trade of the day was a gain. Way to wait for your setup. I think that's definitely smart here.
All right, TQQQ. Are you trying to get some more support or what? Still, it did kind of close the gap between the price and the VWAP briefly, but then it broadened that distance. Now it's trying to come back in again. Might be seeing some bottoming in TQQQ if this can go higher than the last reversal it had. We are getting some recovery here in UPXI, but just be careful because we are past that point where we see a lot of volume in the market.
Okay.
QURE, this one's coming in. It's losing VWAP right now. MLGO, that popped up to 1224, went sideways, and now we're coming back down to test the trend line.
See? Cat got your tongue.
Mm-hmm. And then it's going to be VWAP next after that. EVGN, trying another run for its VWAP, has not been able to get to the VWAP since we opened this morning. Big wall of sellers starting at 125.
NVIDIA looks like so far it's held 96. NEO isn't really moving down here today very much. Here's Pfizer, which we got asked about earlier, seeing some call buying into Pfizer here. Pfizer basically holding flat. Looks like, just kind of going back to our question earlier, it looks like there's just more of the rotation here out of big cap tech than anything else.
I don't think I'm liking UPX side right now. Trading beneath the trend line.
No.
MACD has crossed. I think this is probably going to come back in. Now, there's still plenty of time left in the day. We could see this thing go right back up into the 20s. It just might not happen until later, until after the lunch hour. But I'm not going to take this one off my radar because I think this was the best, probably the best trading one that we've had this morning. There have been others really great ones that we've looked at and the chat has mentioned. I felt this gave some of the best price action. And I don't think it's done, but it's probably done for now. Just later, I think it could provide some more moves.
I think I see one of these Bitcoin cards that Izzy tagged me on these. I'm going to favorite this anyway, just so I can find it. I think I see one of the cards that you're talking about. I have no opinion on that as of right now. None. Smoke Tuna says UPXI not done. I would wait out a VWAP pull on that. Shake some of those hands out of there.
I'm not saying it's done either. I'm just saying that for now it's finished. I think it needs to kind of cool off a little bit. We had a MACD crossing, but like I said, later on in the day, I think we could see this come back. I just don't think that's going to be right now. Volume hasn't been great since we hit 1030, since we hit 1030.
Yep.
You can even look at it. I mean, just the great volume. Hey, 1030, bad volume. Now, if it does come back up here and I'm wrong, well, congratulations.
Verve with a decent bounce off of its VWAP, at least so far.
Looks like MLGO is still trying to go here, but the volume on this one is noticeably lower, and it's now got a consolidation area that it has to recapture. So starting to have some problems here with MLGO. I don't want to make any prediction that this is done or not, because this thing looked like it was done at one point. You know, we were trading it last month, and then it did even crazier things. So not making any calls on MLGO.
So far, that trend line call that you made this morning has been the call, because that was upside resistance and now also support.
And I feel the same thing could happen with UPXI. XBI even holding on to a 1% gain. That is the biotech.
That's the biotech, right? Sector. Yeah. Yep.
All right. Oh, this is a nice price action. So what's going on with biotech then? Is it what are we getting this big move from? I have some thoughts, but what is the real move? The reason for this? Anybody want to take a stab at it? UPXI will be 5 in a month or lower. Good thing I do not.
Probably less than a month. I wouldn't even be surprised if it takes that long, to be quite honest with you.
I sway in
a couple of days.
Good trade, but I ain't holding it. Yeah, XBI looks like it's gearing up to go higher. I'm just kind of curious what's driving biotech right now.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Where are we at here? We've got a minute left. We've got a minute left for the show here today. Anything that you want to wrap up with? I mean, we don't have to close it out right now.
Oh, that's okay. I was just reading what STFU was saying. So there's a lot more going on here. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of what I'm getting at here. With I want to know more about this telomere, biotech company. So you're providing some really great information, STFU. I look forward to that. We got more time.
I want to see that too. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to answer JJ. What indicator tells you UPXI might not be done? Well, just a lot of times when it comes to these names that have been big morning movers, they have a tendency to trade better after the lunch hour. And there are some indicators that are showing me that historically in the past, they have been good tells that there is going to be some more upside movement. That's usually when you have these larger EMAs like the 65 and the 200 crossing or about to cross the VWAP. That usually see a pronounced move right before that happens. So we're getting pretty close to the 65 and the 65 EMA getting close to VWAP. But I'm just kind of speaking to what can happen with some of these names later on in the day after the lunch hour. They can come back. And I think that UPXI could be one such stock. So I'm not in it right now, but if we do get some more selling in this, I'd be looking to do another trade later on in the afternoon.
Okay. Good wrap, folks. We got to go. We're over time here. We'll be back at this again tomorrow, 13. Thanks very much. Thank you, folks. Glad to see a bunch of you.